All right, we are here the time again, probably the 15th or 16th time.
16th sounds right. Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, let's hope so. Uh, and we're here again to do the typical spiel of lore dumping all of our takes of various media forms through the pods that we have collected in the past month. Starting it up with the movie section, of which I have a few items.
I
Um,
have two that I can talk about,
two.
um, which is, an improvement.
That's
We're
double from
it's
last
literally
month and the
double.
month before,
Yep,
and maybe
yep.
the one before that.
Still
Peter
way
moved.
down starting from January though. I remember, but
Notorious film hater over here is
yeah,
watching,
exactly.
is increasing his thing to two. Okay, well I will go first though, because I
Okay.
have again a couple films to talk about. The first of which is this one called, if I could pull it up, Men, comma Women and Children, and this is a film that is aiming to be a depiction of the relationship between like teenagers and the adults in their lives, like their parents and teachers and stuff, and sort of like the confusing, weird things that may just like life, like weird shit in life that might happen. So it's about like drugs and the sex and exploitation of things, and also like parents who like project onto their kids and enforce various functions of like I want you to live the life that I lived, or stuff like that. And it's attempting to do a lot of things, and it kind of fails at all of them. To because it's almost like that show 13 Reasons Why, or at least the
Hmm.
my understanding of the show, which I haven't actually seen. But from my understanding, it's oh, this is a bunch of over the top stuff that maybe is based off of real things, but to have so many extremes centered around like a small circle of characters that all be coinciding all at once, and just complete over the topness across each of them. Like in this fucking film, every fucking character has some like hidden thing going on that gets revealed over the course of it. It's
It's like
just
no
it
one's normal. It's
Yeah,
like
no
what?
one's normal. It's so over the top, and it's genuinely really difficult to take seriously, which is what this film wants you to do. It's trying to be sort of a roadmap of here's not to. It's sort of like here's don't do this. Like don't make
Hmm.
these mistakes if you are the parent, if you are the kid, if you're whatever. Um, but it just feels silly is how it comes
Hmm.
up feeling. It has Adam Sandler in it, which he's not doing a comedic role this time, but I think like the very first scene, it's about him like it's about like the whole like it's not really as much of an issue anymore. But I guess 10, 15, 20 years ago, there's the family computer and who's going to use it to FAP or not at like which point, you know what I mean? Or he uses his
Hmm.
son's computer to do it, I think, which is slightly worse. So it's like
Interesting.
it's on that level of exploring stuff, and that's a very difficult thing to do, and it's also difficult to have like make it treated seriously and not come off as just funny, either ironically or not. Um, and so that's unfortunately what this film is, but I just wanted to shout it out because it's
Is it
interesting. It's not
uniquely
boring.
bad?
Yeah, what?
Okay. It's uniquely bad or like
Uh
uniquely missing in some aspects.
oh, in like every aspect, but it's entertaining. Is what
Okay.
like it's yeah. It's not good, definitely.
I'm looking at the director's filmography, and
Oh,
he's all over the place. I've only watched Juno from him,
oh yeah, that's
but
nice.
he also directed Thank You for
Yeah, thank you
Smoking,
for
which
smoking.
I
Up in the
remember
air
you
are
enjoying.
good.
Yeah,
Those are really
and
good.
then
Ghostbusters Afterlife sucks,
which
sort
is
of.
I don't know which one of the sequels that is.
It's the one with Paul Rudd.
Yeah, he's in a couple of them, aren't they?
Well, it was the first one that Paul
Oh,
Rudd
it's
was
the
in.
first one. Okay,
Yeah, I think he's in at least two now.
is that the first of the reboots, or was there one before
So there
that?
was the one with the women, and
Right.
then there was
We
this
don't
one.
talk about that one.
We don't talk about women in general on this channel. The one that came out after that was this one, the aftermath or whatever,
Okay.
and then after that was like we're doing the Jurassic Park evolution, whatever the subtitle was.
Yeah. Uh, no idea what
Frost
they did
fucking
for Bust World.
dumbass. Yeah, some shit.
Like that.
Frost
Yeah.
slushy. So that's men, women, and children. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go watch it if you can.
Go watch it if you like if you want to hit that balance of good and bad. This is one
Yeah.
of those.
On my end, I ended up finally getting around to the Phoenician Scheme, the latest from Wes Anderson, in preparation for a video that we may, come out soon in the channel. I don't know how much I want to talk about it, honestly, because it's an interesting one from him. I think it's one of my least favorite from him. Spoilers, but I still think it's a good movie. Yeah, I honestly still think it's a good movie.
Yeah.
This one just didn't connect with me as much, and it felt he's in a weird stage of his career, I think, where he's done it all, and he's done like the meta narratives.
He
like,
hit his peak,
meta
and now he's just sort of
reflection.
doing whatever he wants to do.
Yeah. And I don't know how well it works for this one, because it seems like he's trying to a little bit go back to a more standard narrative from him, which is saying something considering how he likes to frame his movies and his stories, and stories about stories inside of stories about people about stories. And it can be kind of hard to keep track of. This one, I think the structure is more standard for him. I still like the presentation and all of the production value. Acting is good. I think, honestly, I don't know how I feel about Benicio del Toro as a lead.
Really?
I love him as an actor, and I think he is nailing it, but something about the character just didn't land as much as like a Gustav from Grand Budapest did, or other main protagonists from his films, Rushmore. And I don't know why that was. I'll probably have to think about more and discuss it with the other films. But I think overall, it's just a by-the-books Wes Anderson film, but at a point in his career where I wasn't really looking for something like that. I thought that his previous two were at least more interesting, with Asteroid City and French Dispatch. But, it is what it is. He still doesn't really miss. I think every aspect of his filmmaking is still top notch.
Yeah.
And it comes with the added context of his filmography, where you have certain expectations with his films, and it's going to be a more subjective take on it, whether or not you gel with the movie, because really he's too consistent, and he's not going to make something bad. I just don't think he has it in him.
Yeah. I would be shocked if we lived to see it the day where it's like a legitimately incompetent film in terms of like production value.
I would honestly, I would be interested to see if he like ever steps away from filmmaking and does more short films or like other creative endeavors, because I think he's that kind of auteur, if you would have to put a word on it.
He should make a music video for someone.
He could. There's a lot of good directors have started there, and good directors have been hired out for some artists to make some interesting ones, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I also saw this one within the past month, and I will refrain from the opinions here. I probably mostly agree with the things that you said, though. Because I also rewatched all of his other things as well,
right.
and like.
So you have even more context around.
Yes, sir. I have the
how it
superior
stacks up
opinion on the
amongst
Wes
systems.
Anderson rankings. It definitely is, compared to his other films, perhaps not as good as some of them, but also compared to every single film ever made, it's better than most of those. So if you have only seen Wes Anderson films, you may not like it too much, or you may like it, I don't know. But if you've seen a good mix of films out there, like if you've seen men, women, and children, then you'll probably like
it's
this
gonna
one quite a
stand
bit.
out.
It's probably gonna be pretty good. and worth checking out. For my next thing, I have a film that came out earlier in the equivalent year. It's one that Peter has already discussed here on the channel, and I won't take up as much time because I feel like I don't have nearly as much to say about it as Peter did, and I'm also mostly just agreeing with the things that he said in some previous episode, 14, 13, around that point. This one called One Battle After Another. And this one is a banger right here. It's really fun. It's just a solid adventure, like great relationships, and there's a time skip where there's this one character who's super relevant and continues to be relevant even post mortem, in a really cool way. The Sean Penn as the villain, like you were sort of talking about, is so, just as a character, such a fun fucking thing.
Really,
he feels almost like he's literally in a completely different world, or like feels from that, both in terms of like his character's mental state and just the what he's doing and the scenes involved with him. He feels like an anime character or something. Like he doesn't feel like something sprung from a Western mind. He feels like something completely foreign to this sort of neo-Western landscape. And I really like the protagonist also, and there's so many things where I would watch films when I was younger, and I didn't really realize this at the time, but now I've sort of come to the understanding that I think I just sort of have a bad short-term memory. But when I was younger, I was like, how do all of these characters remember all of these things? That doesn't seem to be accurate. And now I sort of understand it's just for the sake of the narrative to work and for things to be cool and stuff. And so it's also nice to see in this one a slightly more incompetent protagonist who forgets the important things, and it leads to funny and wacky situations. So as a person with not a good short-term memory, I enjoyed my representation in the film with this one. And yeah, it's just a good time. As far as Paul Thomas Anderson goes, I mean, maybe similar to the Phoenician Scheme, this like ranks lower in the director's, in my like ranking for this director. But still, as a film, it's very, very good.
Yeah, I would agree.
And maybe the best of the year, question mark. What even else came out? I'm looking at the most popular.
Sinners is a lot of people.
I like this one more than Sinners.
I might agree. I think they're fairly comparable for me. But yeah, this year, not as standout as last year. Last year was pretty strong, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm also looking at last year's just to compare. I mean, we have what, 3 or 4 weeks left. Marty Supreme is coming out on Christmas Day because whatever.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I still haven't even seen the new Mission Impossible.
There's also that new Part 10, which I'm not sure.
Oh yeah.
If it's coming out, if it's already out, or if it is.
If it's only at film festivals.
Yeah,
I feel like
still haven't been able to see it come out.
I don't know.
But
I've heard good things from that though. I'm hyped because that dude as a director is like he's just one of the greatest ever.
I think he is the best, and like every time you watch one of his films,
I watched
when I think of like a director, like I think of him and how he can like just blend the amount of style he has with transitions and his writing and everything. I'm just such a fan of his movies. Yeah. He doesn't have a whole ton though, which I guess is.
But he's still making them. So
he's still making them, right? Yeah.
Because he has this one in English, Stoker, which is not as good, but still, like, despite this bad script, he's able to make it legitimately really cool, just in terms of direction. And like you said, the transitions in that are crazy. They're so good.
He always has an eye for that.
Yeah.
And like just really interesting editing. Like, think like Old Boy when he's holding the hammer, and I vividly remember like that one shot where it's like a like animated arrow just like coming out of the hammer. And it's like, why is this in the film? I don't know. It's just like it feels very instinctual, his filmmaking. But hey, hope the new one is just as good. I've heard good things.
Yeah.
So, but as you were talking about other films that have come out this year, one of the more recent ones that I saw was the new Superman one, which I know you've watched. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think James Gunn is a competent director. His movies with Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy and all that is pretty consistently good for me. None of them have really ever blown me away as much as like I think common consensus. So this new one from him, Superman, might be my favorite from him, honestly.
Damn.
I really liked it. It just felt so comic booky to me. Like it very much like immersed me in a world that felt realized, like all of the different interactions that the citizens of the world have with the various super powered threats or heroes that are going around every day. And it seems like, you know, Metropolis is it's a standard day when Superman saves them, just because it is what it is. It happens all the time. They have, you know, mass like evacuation protocols, and it seems like everyone's just kind of like, this is just how it is. No one's really panicking or anything. Like it has been shown to be on like a Marvel more direct reflection of our world, or like even a DCU, Batman, Justice League, whatever, the Man of Steel, the other Superman movie that just came out. It feels distinct from those in a nice way.
Yeah.
It's very safe, super predictable as a movie, but I wasn't really bothered by that. And I really I thought Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor was a standout as a villain. Just like the biggest hater. He's so mad.
Yeah.
He's like crying about how mad he is about this alien. You don't get he's not a Superman. But like the thing is, he's like incredibly intelligent. He just directs all of that fucking super powered intelligence, because Lex is like a human, but he's a super villain. So it adds a lot more character to him that he can be so dangerous by just being petty as fuck. But I thought that it was a good depiction of Superman, something more like archetypal from him, but a younger version of him, which I thought David Cornsweet was pretty good as the lead. Certain moments of his performance I didn't really get behind, like that final monologue. I thought fell a little flat for me, but I think overall he looks the part, plays the part of like just like being a good person who just like wants to be do good for everyone. I thought it was really interesting, not really interesting, kind of funny that Bradley Cooper is his father. Spoilers, but I was not expecting to see him as just like the cameo. Yeah. It's like, I wouldn't have expected. I guess it's because he's Rocket, right? So
yeah,
he's already friends with James Gunn.
He's already in the inner circle.
Yeah, but outside of that, I thought it was just a fun time. I can imagine it being pretty fun to see in theaters. Thought the effects looked good, and as much as like I heard people talking about how like messy it is and like there's too much going on at points, I honestly didn't feel that. It felt pretty in line with like how a comic book story goes, honestly, which is why I thought it was like pretty immersive for me.
Yeah, like main focus on one dude with some other characters from their own comic books, like interacting a little bit.
And you could just imagine they're doing other things. Like you get a little bit of them at the finale with them dealing with the foreign hostilities, but honestly, I didn't really need more characterization from them. Like you kind of got a more dedicated look at Mr. Terrific as opposed to the other ones. But this is a Superman movie. I don't need to know about Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, or Hawkgirl. Like, it's pretty understandable that the focus is going to be on him. And even though he's dealing with a ton of different things at one time, because it's all orchestrated by Lex, essentially, it makes it easier because as an audience member, you're aware of the bigger picture, and it makes it easier to just kind of stay focused on one big threat. But you know, I'm not gonna say it's like a masterpiece movie,
Sure.
but I think it's better than a lot of comic book movies that I've been watching recently, and it's a bit of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I agree with you. As a person who has not read comic books, from my understanding, is that it leans more into the tropes of the genre and like embraces them rather than trying to like, no, that's cringe. We need to be cool and epic, because that's not what comic books are. Even though the characters, setting, and fucking themes and shit are ripped out of one of those. So it's nice to see that change of perspective. It reminds me of like video games in the 2000s having that like, we need to look as fucking realistic as possible. And then nowadays we've gotten to the point where, oh, if you have like a stylized thing that's sort of cartoony or sort of anime inspired, that's also really nice. It's rather than just
like
full as realistic as possible. You know?
Like a Hollow Knight or Hades art style, where it's like, if you have a good kind of it should be striking, should be like iconic to some extent, and then if it's just executed to a high degree, then you don't really need, oh, I can see every pore in this 3D model of a character. It's definitely a little more forgiving nowadays.
Yeah. Because I mean, the example I think in my head is like Legend of Zelda. There was the E3 trailer where it looked more realistic or whatever, and then the next game that came out in the series was Wind Waker, which was the cartoony one.
Right.
And people were like, "Well, that's a bunch of bogus." And then Twilight Princess came out after then. They were like, "Oh, this is awesome." And then over time, people were like, "Oh, the Wind Waker art style is actually really epic and awesome."
And it's like timeless, and it will always be
exactly
iconic. So, yeah, it's
and that's
Nintendo
hopefully what this
that.
film will be, because it'll stand out from the other films, like you said,
exactly,
across both DC and Marvel.
I guess we'll see, depending on whatever the new James Gunn universe plan for DC movies. Seems like, I guess we'll see if all of them are as successful as this one. I think this one was pretty popular.
They're not going to combine the, what's his name, Matt Reeves? Or is that somebody else?
No, Matt Reeves has his own Batman verse.
That's a different thing.
I
don't know how they deal with that. That would have been cool as fuck, though, if they could combine those with the rights. But is it fucked up because of the rights?
Distinct.
Super, like, clashing of styles and themes, but like, somehow you combine it so that when the focus is on one character, it feels like their movie. And then, like, when they're together,
really
like,
cool.
bounces back or something.
I think it would maybe be gimmicky. If it could be executed super well, then it would be very cool.
Probably a disaster in the making, though. More than
exactly.
Likely. But it could be.
I would have low expectations. It sounds cool.
The next film I have to discuss is this is gonna sound like a fucking anime light novel title, but it's not. It's called A Pigeon Sat on a Branch Reflecting on Existence, which is quite the pretentious title for. I mean, I guess a pretentious film, but like not really, because it doesn't treat itself very seriously, despite being
it doesn't.
Very good. It's by this dude Roy Andersson, who is Swedish, and I've seen a couple other films by him, Songs from the Second Floor, and You the Living, are both very good, and they follow a very similar style to this one here. Where the basic idea is that he likes colors. Specifically, he likes everything to be very grim and like gray and brown, and sort of the idea of how his films get summarized or talked about is that like every frame could be a painting, sort of, or like every scene is laid out in a specific way where all of the characters in the scene are organized in a very specific spot in the environment, and like every shot is completely still for the entire scene, so there's a decent amount of long takes in this one, and they're usually pretty segmented. They focus on a sort of a circulation of characters that sometimes interact with each other, but it's mostly about like moment to moment, sort of like I don't know, over the top silly scenes
Yeah,
that
it's
are
like
like,
absurdist,
yeah,
kind of surreal at times, very deadpan and dry,
yeah,
super dry.
but very funny also, and
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
unique and fascinating,
super
and
unique.
it's just great to look at. And there's in this one, this might have been his funniest. I don't know, if out of the three that I've seen. It's hard for me to remember because the other two I saw probably like 4 or so years ago now.
Yeah, and they do have like similar structures, so it
Yeah,
is
very
hard because I
similar.
remember watching them all very like they're close to each other.
Yeah.
So there's definitely shots that I have that are
Is it from
probably
this
from another
film or is
movie.
it from this
Yeah, I
film?
even know it because they're shot very similarly as
This one's
well,
the one with
just
the
like
two
in
dudes who are
appearance.
going around trying to sell wacky gadgets to make people happy, despite the fact that
Yeah,
they
oh,
look
yep,
fucking
yep,
miserable
yep.
at all times.
Whenever they go back to
Those
their
salesmen.
rooms, and he just like has the suitcase. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah. And there's also the part where they're at the bar, and then in the background there's like these fucking, I don't even know. There's like soldiers
The
from like the
march,
past or
yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah.
and it just
I
goes on for
that one is
forever.
just like very strange.
That moment is awesome.
Each of the different kind of anthological tales that like these movies tell is very distinct and like very memorable in some way, and it's definitely not like a movie for everyone.
Oh yeah, no.
Um,
It's definitely
but
like if you're a film
so
bro, if you're a
unique.
cultured
Yeah,
person, it's
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
it's a foreign, artistic, not for normal people.
yeah. It's like film is art and
Yeah.
not as much entertainment, which is just a separate thing.
hmm Yeah. For his stuff, I'd recommend going in order. Songs from the second floor, I'd start there and just go, "You the Living," "Pigeon Sat on a Branch," and then "About Endlessness" is his most recent one, I think, and I have not seen that one yet.
Hmm.
So I hope to someday. So this was a nice visit here back into his wacky world of things.
Hmm. His stuff almost reminds me of Jacques Tati's stuff, but like in like the twisted, like
Who?
kind of like sad version. The guy who made Playtime, right?
Oh,
Um,
I have not seen that.
yeah, Jacques Tati. He does really kind of interesting set work and like very intricately uh, paced and plotted out,
Choreographed.
choreographed set blocking or shot blocking. And his stuff is way more like uh, funny and like more of like a lighthearted way, whereas Roy Anderson's stuff is definitely a lot more black humor.
hmm
Um, but I would recommend checking out Playtime for sure.
Yeah,
Very,
that
very
one's been
cool.
on my list for like forever, I think.
Yeah, it's Video Game Donkey's
Bro.
favorite movie or one of his.
Yeah, it's one of them. All right, cool. Next, I saw in films also a thing that Peter saw earlier this year. It's the fucking Chainsaw Man, the movie
Hell yeah.
colon Reze arc. Um, and I saw this in theaters actually. I saw it with my brother, and there were I
Nice.
think 5 other people in the theater. Um, and this was really cool and awesome. I think as a film, it's the first anime film of that's for a TV show adaptation. That's like it's the first like new format that they are doing for these sorts of anime adaptations of manga, where they did the TV show and then they are now doing movies because the Demon Slayer
Like
people
an
are like,
arc
oh
of
shoot,
it
we can make a
or
fuck ton of money if we do the
yep.
movie instead. And so that's sort of what these guys at Mad, what the fuck, who made the
Is it
Chainsaw
Mappa?
Man? Mappa. I knew it started with an M and
Yeah.
had an A within it, at least one of those. Um, so yeah, I did not before watching it, I sort of completely forgot about this arc entirely, and I was like, I have no idea what is going to happen in this. Um, and as each scene played out, I was like, oh, that's right, this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and stuff
Hmm.
like that. And to see it adapted to screen is really nice. Like the Chainsaw Man manga, the pacing of it is so tight,
It
almost to the
is.
point where it's almost too quick. And by having it be a film, you're able to take your time. I feel like even more than the TV show did, for which could be impactful for specific moments displayed in this one here. It's still Chainsaw Man, so if you like the manga, you'll like this. If you don't like the manga, you probably will not like this. And I think it's a solid moment of the not only just the story in general that is taken from, but also just to capture that and put it all into one sort of sit down and go through it media forms. I think is quite unique, and I would not be opposed to the idea of sort of more manga adaptations taking the film approach or like sort of a mixed of show film season, or do you think it's just better if they do only shows? Like, how do you feel about the
Yeah,
film
it's hard because
stuff?
like you could be a traditionalist and think that it should all just be in the show, so that it's all easily accessible
Yeah,
and
it's more
like in one
contained, and
place
yeah,
and
it's
it's more
easier to see
consistent.
it.
Um, but I do agree with you to some extent, with certain arcs of shows that are like think it's should be a by the books case or uh, case by case basis.
Hmm.
Because with the Reze arc, it's pretty segmented in the manga itself, so
Yeah,
it felt good to adapt it to
it's like a
properly.
nice package that's already sort of wrapped, so you could just be like,
Hmm.
oh, we could take that and make it its own separate thing
Yeah,
for like
it
a
is also nice because I don't know how they allocate talent to it, but like the animation is just higher budget.
yeah.
It's more dedicated,
Well, it has
so
a
they're able
film
to,
budget, so it's gonna be better
yeah.
looking as
And for certain arcs, that would be great to just have like the highest quality animation that you can
hmm
get, especially when a lot of climactic arc moments are fights, and you know, it's tough sometimes to get the budget or the time needed for an anime to land that in series form. But I'm I'm okay with them changing up and trying to see what works.
hmm
It seems like the movies are working, and
yeah.
it's getting pretty big, and it's kind of spreading and getting more acclaim and more fans. I remember how big Demon Slayer was, and
Yeah.
Mugen Train arc definitely helped. Like
Yeah.
it
I feel
brought a lot
yeah,
of
that was
people
definitely the one that
into
kicked
it
this whole thing off, and Jujutsu Kaisen's
for
doing it, and
sure.
now Chainsaw Man's doing it. Um, I would not be surprised if it's sort of the future going forward for at the very least the bigger
Yeah, big
productions
shonens.
of for the show. Yeah, if they're the shonen battle manga, because it's definitely not a thing that every single manga adaptation can afford to do in the first place.
No.
Nor is it something necessarily needed for a lot of them. But if they can somehow make it work, I think it's cool. I like movies. I like
Yeah,
film
exactly.
adaptations of
I like
books that I
anime.
like.
It's like all of it. All of
I
it's
like
good.
anime. I like chainsaws. I like girls. Anyways,
It's like, damn, I'm just like him.
bro, if I were
Shout out
Denji, I would
Denji.
fold in that situation.
So
All right.
true.
So yeah, this was cool. Next one, to continue my sort of 2025 train of
Mm.
things, I saw Eddington by Ari Aster, who's a director I like quite a bit. Um, in a similar vein to the Swedish dude we just talked about, he makes sort of absurdist things, but in a very different way. Because this follows his films follow a narrative in a stronger way than the Swedish guy. Um,
Yeah.
and this one is about COVID-19, sort of as it's on the rise, which is really interesting because there's only so many fictional works out there right now that is about uh, equivalent year recent events like that. Um, and to see an event like this come out in a film is a pretty unique and also really interesting. What he's sort of trying to do is just display, hey, look at this moment in our lives that happened somewhat recently, and here's us, everyone united, like divided, but united
Hmm.
in the craziness and the everyone's heightened on emotions and uh, just shit happens, and it's really interesting. It's like his other films where like it gets really absurd like over time, like steadily, and then by the final 30 minutes, it's just complete crazy shit that you couldn't even guess. By the beginning, you would have no idea that it would eventually go to the places it goes. And again, I think it's really interesting because of the COVID angle, especially, and just the how it's showing off everybody on every side of every walk of life, just how it gets to them in extreme and slightly unrealistic ways, but still entertaining ways. And I think overall it fills a good story and a good film in general, and I would recommend this one.
Cool. You've watched Beau is Afraid, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that one? How does it compare? 'Cause obviously his first two are more horror movies.
Yeah.
And they do still
This one's
follow that kind of
much more
structure.
similar to Beau is Afraid, I would say, than Midsummer Hereditary, because those two feel like a package, and then this one and Beau is Afraid, it feels like a package in terms of like similar things going on.
Yeah.
As far as which I prefer, I actually don't know. They're very close. Because Beau is Afraid is just so weird. This one's a
Yeah.
little bit less weird, but it's still pretty out there.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I'll say Beau is Afraid. I like a little bit more,
Okay.
but that's just me right now today. 5 minutes from now, I could be like, why the fuck did I say Beau is Afraid? I like that better than Eddington. No, what shot? So, but as of right now,
He's just doing weird stuff. Like he's a very unique director that I'm glad is like a pretty popular name, honestly.
Yeah.
Due to Midsummer and Hereditary.
Yeah. Because
the
of
fact that he
those,
can do
he's
these
able
ones-
to, I feel like right now, make the things that he wants to make a little bit more. Like
Yeah.
the Beau is Afraid, it's based on a short film he made earlier. So it's just like an expansion of that earlier idea he had that he was unable
with a
to make.
higher budget.
Yeah, exactly. And then this feels like further down the road of he's inspired by recent events and wants to form a narrative out of that, and it's a good one.
Interesting. I'll have to check it out because I've watched all of his other stuff, and this one seems like an interesting one. It's not one that I'm like I've been looking forward to watching. But it's just like seems like one of those movies, which say what you will about that sort of initial appearance on like based off of the marketing or whatever. But
Yeah, right. Because it's about like an event that took place 5 years prior to the release date of it, and
Right.
that was it was a momentous string of years, especially at the beginning of that couple of years of COVID-19 events. But it makes for an interesting sort of setting for things to happen, and things do happen. All right. Next up is one that I saw today, and it's not from 2025, but it is from 2 years before that, so still somewhat recent. It's this one called Perfect Days, which is directed by this dude, Wim Wenders, who's German. But the film is all in Japanese and takes place in Japan and has pretty much exclusively Japanese characters, which is unique, I would say, because typically the only people who would make films set in Japan with Japanese actors speaking only the Japanese language would be Japanese people. But this dude, this fucking weeaboo king, Wim Wenders, comes in and somehow makes something that feels Japanese, even despite the fact that it's made by someone entirely outside of that. I mean, I don't know if he can speak the language.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Somehow he's able to form something that's it's very unique, and it's a very good movie. It's basically about this janitor dude living this Monday life, and you sort of follow that, and there's sort of ups and downs, and very, I was going to say very mild twists and turns. Not really, because it's a matter of perspective, and to this dude's life, they're very big. And as a result of that, to you, the audience, when they happen, they're also very big because they're coinciding with events of displaying the mundanity of his life. Is that how you say it? Mundanity?
Yeah, mundanity.
Mundanity. The mundanity of his life is coinciding with these extreme events that you could say are extreme. And it has a really good ending. Like I was sold for most of it, but then by like the final shot, it's just so perfect, and I was like not expecting that angle of things to go down. But just like that the last like 20, 30 seconds, minute, or however long it was, sort of sold me on the film as a whole, which is nice. It's got that 4:3 aspect ratio, so we got the it's in a foreign language, and they're doing someone with the aspect ratio. That means that the film bros will be like, this is the greatest
It's
thing ever.
true cinema. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be fair, it is. It's very good.
It looks great. I was a big fan of this one. I'm a sucker for these kind of movies where it's like this Patterson. I would put Columbus up there, or like After Yang, where it's just like so calm, so grounded and level, and the stakes are not there. It's just depicting everyday people living everyday lives, and then just like zooming in on them and making them the main character, which is just like every so often when you watch a movie, it's nice to see that, where it's just like helps you remind yourself that everyone in the world, everyone you see, everyone you meet is living their own rich inner life that has their ups and downs, their massive moments that can, shake you or fill you with joy. But it's just like, it's so personal, and it's lovely. I think it's pretty, it's very weird for me that it is just like a German guy directing. I know obviously that Wim Wenders is a well-celebrated director. I need to watch more of his stuff. Paris, Texas, I've heard great things, and Wings of Desire. So I need to go through his other filmography, because this one I thought is just fantastic. Yeah, big fan of it. Glad you finally got to watch it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this movie's awesome. All right. That is the end of the films I have to speak of, and you already had your two of the month.
I already had my two.
So, under the TV shows, do you have anything?
Nope. Any anime from you or shows that you're checking out?
Anime. Oh, I got an anime.
Oh,
I got an anime right here. Okay, so the title of it is My Status as an Assassin Obviously Exceeds the Heroes. And by that title, you should be able to conclude that the status of this show is complete dog shit. Obviously. And it's an isekai, right? And it has the exact same premise as Shield Hero, where it's not just one dude going to the other world, it's a group of people traveling to the other world, and they're being summoned by the king, who's like, we expended so many resources summoning you guys to save us. And the queen, for some reason, doesn't like the main character, so she tries to manipulate people to kill him or to banish him for some reason. And it's just like, why are we stealing all of these things from a story that wasn't even good to begin with? You know what I mean? Like,
that's great.
Shield Hero is already not a good. Like, I could understand if you are maybe watching or reading greatness. A series and you're like, this fucking sucks, I want to make this better. But this doesn't feel like that. It just feels like, shit, I need a premise. Where do I look? I'll borrow from the bad thing rather than from the good thing. Like, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? So there's that aspect of it. Because it's Shield Hero, all of those moments I just listed out are like either okay or just dumb. Like, already in that, and it takes more time with it to
set it up,
justify and to justify like the events occurring and stuff. And this one just completely is like, all right, I need the point A, point B, blah 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 blah, and we're here now. It feels like it's just skipping across like fucking everything here.
Everything important.
Yeah, like the there's so many things skipped over and like not explained and so many things like implied. Like right off the bat, he somehow knows he gets someone into the world. Somehow he knows that he has these OPS powers, and there's like this orb that determines the group of people he's with. That determines like the powers that they have, but he already knows for some reason. So he just makes himself invisible so that other people don't know what powers he has by placing his hand on the orb and publicly announcing it to people. But then he just shows up with them later, and nobody's questioning what like why he disappeared or anything. Like it makes no sense. And there's a million moments like that, but I hardly remember because I watched this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't think I put too many notes about that stuff. Oh yeah, it's a fantasy world, but it feels like a half-baked effort to make a fantasy world. Like there's just straight up hidden cameras that look like real world cameras, and like this, it's supposed to be like this high fantasy fucking story. And I like if you want a replacement of that, there's a billion ways to do it. Like you could put like a
it's just
fucking
lazy.
a see-through eyeball that's like looking at shit or something from the ceiling until they act like
There's
that.
magic,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
like, why not? Yeah, just be like a scrying eye or
Yeah,
anything
fucking
more.
like
It's just like
that's just the most duh. But no, you're gonna use the modern world technology and just place it in because you have like no fucking clue what to do. Like it's such. This is like the opposite of Delicious in Dungeon, where every single detail is so intricately thought out and inspired. Like they're taking real thing that like not real thing, real things that have been created, like other fictional works, and using that as inspiration and creating their own version of each and every monster they come across and stuff, and like considering how it gets what each monster's like role is within the world and stuff. And this just feels like the complete opposite, where it's just borrowing from random bad things and it has no consideration over whatever random world building stuff you want to have. There's basically none of that. It doesn't make sense. There's
why'd you end up watching it?
Oh, so I was about to mention because
Okay.
it has a anime art style, which is kind of cool, where it looks like a neo sort of like modern version of the 90s, like an 90s. I said an 90s. Why the fuck? A 90s anime aesthetic. It has sort of like the modern equivalent of that, which looks really cool when it does happen, like 5 or 10% of the time, and then the rest of it just sort of looks like any other fucking thing. But when it gets to the Sakuga, like it has a really unique art style, and it sort of drew me in because I don't know, it just seemed to be slightly more unique, but that it was only on the surface. and for the most part, it doesn't look like that at all. There's this elf girl companion he gets in like the second episode, because of course, but it's showing like her backstory, and she's getting chased by people, and she gets cornered on like a cliff or something, and the way she escapes is she uses magic to break the cliff she's standing on so that she falls. But like, if she's gonna fall, like, why not just jump over it? She's like a foot away from it or something. Like, again, it makes no sense. I feel like you're just wasting your magic power to destroy the thing when you could just jump over. You don't even have to jump. You just let yourself fall and you go over. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't think a single other person watching the show actually fucking thought of that, because I don't think any other person who has seen the show has any thoughts. Like, I don't know. It's also funny because there's I don't know if it's still up there, but on my anime list, I looked at some of the reviews for this, and one of the top ones was like, bro, I dropped it on episode 4 because I'm tired of these shows where it's just this OPS protagonist and they always win every single time. And they said that they stopped on episode 4, but then on episode 5, the protagonist loses. So it's like, it plays into that sort of thing we were talking about, I think in the last episode, where the idea is, how many chances do you give to a property before you're out? You know what I mean? Because if this guy had given it one more episode, he would have seen, oh, it's not quite like that, and he loses sometimes, and there's it's like a mild consequence so far. I haven't watched the show in a couple of weeks, but he did lose. But it's funny that like before that point, it was only winning. So, but I just thought it was a funny remark there, and it related
Yeah,
to the thing we were saying
it's
sort of last week.
the mining and turning away before you hit
Oh
gold.
yeah, except it's
like,
not diamonds.
episode
It's
4
just
is
but it
mush.
did surprise me legitimately. I was like, oh,
Mhm.
there's things
It's like-
happening now that maybe matter slightly.
Maybe.
So I have to see where it goes, Peter.
Yeah, you have to keep watching. You're locked
I'm only
in now.
halfway through, because it sucks like initially, right? But the most recent 2 or so episodes have been slightly better.
Okay.
Is how I'm
Slightly.
recalling it. And at this point, there's at least a couple of episodes I could watch, and then beyond that, there's still a few more before the season ends. So I will
Maybe
witness
it's worth
that.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But is that it for your anime consumption? Just more mid
Yeah,
isekais?
I think I was
Nice.
watching, or I was gonna watch some other shows that were sequels to stuff, but I haven't yet because I've been gaming and whatnot.
Hey, same.
Mm.
I've got
To move
8
on.
to talk about. So
8.
yeah, but some of them will be shorter,
Okay,
I guess, because indie stuff, you know how it is.
sure, I get you. But you can start us off, man.
I will then. I remember I was talking about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 last episode, and
Yup.
I finished that up. It's great. Most of the things that I had already discussed stands, and it's a great story, great pacing. It's just a very solid game. If you're looking for like an immersive sim with a good story, and maybe if you want to like scratch that Skyrim itch or that Witcher itch or any other RPG itch, it's definitely one to check out.
Mm-hmm.
And because I played that first, I got the itch to go back to another game, which is The Witcher 3. So I ended up replaying that.
Oh shit.
And it's just one of my favorite games of all time. I think the writing is stellar. Geralt is such a fucking sick protagonist. He's like one of the coolest gaming protagonists of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand because I've read all the books now, and
Oh, damn.
he is even cooler in the books probably, and the amount of context that adds to the game is really great because the developers are all just huge fans of the source material, and it shows. They give a ton of respect to all of the different stories that the author's written, and kind of know when to create something new, or the DLC is also standout, and they basically set it in a different country than has ever been explored really in any Witcher material, including the source books.
Oh, really?
It's just like a country that's mentioned as a fairly non-political place. Toussaint is what it's called, and is set up as like, it's just like a weird kind of dated country that is like still has knights and queens and kings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
In the books, and then in the game you finally get to go there as like a final DC, and what was going to be a send off to the series, or at least it's Geralt's send off, because like having another Witcher 4 is coming out, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll
Is
be
it
interesting.
also with Geralt? Or
No,
Geralt?
it's Ciri.
Okay.
Yeah, so his daughter.
That makes sense because they're sort of setting her up in 3, sort of, from my understanding, maybe.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yep. And Witcher 3 was pretty definitively supposed to be Geralt's last story.
Okay.
And it's just one of my favorites. The combat's great. Gameplay is great. And like I said, it's just one of my favorite game stories of all time. Up there with Red Dead 2 probably for me. And maybe a few others. But something great, and just was fun to go back to it after playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and like 1, and just like getting immersed in that kind of medieval setting, that medieval European setting, and it's fun with the fantasy setting as well. But glad I went back to check that out. But what other games have you been playing?
Oh, a very different type of game I have here for this first one that I played, which was sort of mostly last month or the month before, but I was sort of waiting to talk about it until now because I figured, I would play so much more of it, to the point where I would say more in this episode versus last episode. where I was playing it by. Anyways, it's this one called Duet Night Abyss, and it's this anime video game thing. Um, it was originally launched to be a gacha game, so I was like, it was in my vision of like, okay, this is a thing I should maybe check out in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And it got some notoriety because it abandoned the gotcha aspect mostly. There's a gotcha for the cosmetics or something, but it was
Okay.
originally going to be a character based gotcha, and that's how you would unlock characters and stuff. And it instead switched to more of sort of a Warframe model where instead of doing gotcha nonsense and paying a bunch of money to get all the characters you want. Instead, it should just grind the fuck out of them, and if you
It's
want
just
to
a
pay,
grinding
you
game.
still could.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, basically, this entire thing is one big grind, which can enjoy to a certain extent, and I think I did with this one, but I got out when I was like, I'm good, because
Hmm.
after a certain point, it gets to be too much for me, where I have to like
Absolutely.
care about each and every like the smallest things and getting them over and over and over again in order to get the best most precise version of it. It's just kind of annoying after a certain point for me. um at the very least, uh I mean, as far as I haven't really played too many games like this, the fact that it has an anime art style is maybe what allowed me to in the first place.
Check it
um
out. Hmm.
so it's interesting also because the balancing of it is weird, where you have um like a melee weapon and a ranged weapon, but the actual damage that those melee weapons and ranged weapons do is like not a whole lot. The main damage source you're going to be doing is from each character's unique skill and then ultimate attack, and that's how you're dealing a bulk of the damage, excuse me, to the point where the weapons are really just stacks stat sticks.
Stat sticks. Yeah, yeah.
I combined them to form stack, and then I was confused because there's not another word after that. I'm like, wait, what? How did I fuck that up? Yeah,
Stack stick.
stat
No, that's
stick.
not.
It's a
Yeah.
stack. Yeah, they're basically just stat sticks. Which is weird, especially since like there's this whole mechanic sort of with some of them where it's like we will increase the damage that one of the weapons deals, but then the effect goes away when you start attacking with the other weapon, which to me feels completely backwards because it's like you want that mix of, okay, I'm doing some sort of melee combo, switch to range, switch back, like to feel cool theoretically, versus I'm only doing melee or I'm only doing ranged at a time in order to keep the
The
whatever
buff. Yeah.
stat buff thing is increasing. So that felt weird to me. Um, but it's the main thing. It's interesting because a lot of gotcha games, they have a stamina system where you can only do so many things per day, and that sort of keeps you going in every day and checking in. And this one does not have that. But it creates sort of a different system in a way, because you might one person might spend the same amount of time in total in a game like this versus a game that has stamina. It's just a matter of like the time distribution is going to be different, because say like a traditional gacha game, you might be in that for 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day depending, versus this where you might be in there for a couple hours for a couple days, and then just you won't play it for a couple weeks, and then a new update will drop, and then for a couple weeks you're playing it for a couple hours each day. You know what I mean? It just
Hmm.
changes the way that you sort of interact with the exact timing of the game, which is interesting. And I think that's how people play Warframe, where like a new update comes out, you play it a fuck ton of that, grind out all your stuff, and then you max out everything, and you're like, I'm gonna play other video games now. And I think that's sort of the model this one is going at. But what's nice about this one is that it's sort of flexible, because there's these book tome things. I forget what they're called. Um, but you use them when you're about to grind a field thingy, and they increase the rewards you get by a certain percentage, and you can craft them into higher tiers. And when you do that, you lose the effectiveness of the percentage that they would increase the rewards for. So if you use like 8 books that are for 100% increase, you will get more out of whatever the equivalent of that is in the higher tier. I don't know if I'm making sense. Basically, if you decide to craft them up to higher degrees, you are, for each run you're doing, you're getting more. But if you were to do each run on the lower tier of books, you would get more rewards. So it allows you to pace yourself out as to whether you want to do just a burst like in one day, just a couple sessions and then be done with it, or if you want to take the time longer and get slightly more rewards. So it's an interesting balance of time versus like what resources you're putting into it. Again, I don't know if I'm making sense with me saying that. It's hard to explain.
The thing with free to play games is the way monetization handle or like interacts with.
This is a very free to play friendly game, I have to say.
Because there is like the gacha element to a free to play game, which is obviously a genre unto itself. But there are a lot of free to play games that don't have a gacha element, but still need to be monetized or be that daily driver that we've talked about before.
This one's weird because it's almost like the opposite. There's like not a whole lot of things to spend money on, which is weird because you would think there would be so many things locked behind money, but there's really not. It kind of just lets you go. Excuse me, for whatever you want.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle monetization. Because like with a Destiny 2 is free to play, and they handle most of their monetization through DLCs that they add and like big updates that you have to buy. Warframe is mostly cosmetic stuff, or like you can buy premium currency, I think is how they get most of their money.
Right.
And that's seems like if you're comparing it to this game, then it is kind of just meant to be that you just go back to that game like all the time. Because there's always things you can be grinding. Like you said that you can kind of go to the game when there's an event and grind it, and that is true. But like, bro, I played a lot of Warframe. It's maybe it might be my most played game, honestly. And like, I still don't ever, I for sure never even broke my head over the surface of like getting done with all the content in Warframe. There's just, it's an insane amount, especially when you come to the game that like far into its development, where it's like that game is like 10 years now, or maybe even more. With a free-to-play game that is like more recently released, it's easier to get caught up, which is nice, but it's a different sort of appeal. There's not as much content, so like you said, you could probably finish everything it has to offer.
You could like grind the fuck out of it, finish everything that it has right now, wait a few weeks. Oh, it has new stuff, or like the whatever final end game modes have reset, so you could redo those and do whatever various things. It's sort of the model I think it's trying to tackle. But again, it's weird because like everything is monetized, but also it's not that difficult to just obtain the things. Like it does take a while, I guess. Like especially if you want to go through everything, and especially if you want to go through like the higher end game fucking gear things where there's like a dozen on this screen, a dozen on this screen, and you have to have it on each character, and they have to be fucking maxed out, and the probably random shit involved, so you have to keep re-getting them even though you got one version of them, but that one version wasn't good enough, so you have to get it again or something. That's probably a pain in the ass. And I like just vaguely heard about that. I'm like, oh,
it's pretty bad.
That's where I would need to go to eventually after like 10 or 20 more hours of wherever I was at. So I was like, I'm good. But I enjoyed it for what it was. Like if people do enjoy that sort of thing, I think this is a decent version of that. It's just not necessarily my thing.
What you're looking for.
I do I'm hesitant to imagine, I don't know, if it's going to be that successful in the future, like how they're going to continue with it, because I feel like there was already a decent player base fall off from launch to right now. So I don't know how they're going to handle the future of this game. It could be anything. But it was interesting to check it out, because it's pretty different from things that I've played typically.
Nice, yeah. On my end, continuing in that medieval setting that I was such a fan of earlier this month, I ended up playing Pentiment, which is the newest, or not newest. It came out I think 2 years ago, but it's the
2022.
game that came out from 3 years ago, from Obsidian, who famously did Fallout New Vegas and the more recent Outer Worlds games and the Pillars of Eternity stuff. And I thought this game was so good. It's essentially just like a narrative RPG. So there's not a ton of gameplay. You're walking among settings and like into rooms and talking to people.
It's a Peter
It's
styled visual novel.
it's akin to Disco Elysium, which like
Oh,
I
okay.
was thinking about it as I was playing. I'm like, man, these are essentially Western visual novels. Like, it's specifically with Pentiment, it feels very much like a visual novel because of the art style, which is all set in these like period accurate 16th century art styles. Everything from like the animals to the people, the clothing, the buildings, the fields, and everything is like drawn in that sort of style, that medieval style, and it looks great. It looks awesome, and it's like kind of the animation is all set up, so it's like almost painterly, and it's like the pages of a book that are moving. And because books play such a massive part in the narrative of the story, everything just gains this super nice sense of cohesion. There's just great writing throughout, which is, important for a narrative game like this, where
Right.
everything you're doing is reading the screen. Like, there's no voice acting. And it seems like it was a fairly small project. I can't imagine it took a massive team to make this, but the quality is all there. The narrative is really interestingly structured. There are 3 acts, and that covers time skips. So you're kind of following the tale of this town over the course of a generation or so. And you get to experience that story and these different moments in time through different perspectives. And I don't want to spoil anything because I think it's just such a good story. The sense of discovery that you have through this, essentially the plot is, it's a murder mystery to some extent, where there's a murderer in this town, and you as the protagonist kind of needs to investigate and go on different paths of the investigation by interacting with different people around the town. But there are only a certain amount of hours that you have in the course of the investigation, and so you have a limit on what you can investigate. So there's always going to be things that you're going to miss, and no matter what, the game does a great job of structuring it so that it always feels like one of your leads paid off or is the right answer. And the way they did that was, there is no canon answer. There's no correct answer for how you go about the investigation. It's really interesting how they did that, and it works super well amidst the narrative and how they structure the story, and the way they deal with ambiguousness and the passing of time and perspective, and it's just really great stuff. I think the pacing, the only, like, my biggest nitpick with it is the pacing is a little off towards the end, where it felt like the narrative could have focused in on a little more instead of keeping that wider aspect of gameplay that you've had throughout the previous acts. But beyond that, I think it's just a great time. Great art, music, fantastic writing, really good characters, and the structure and the sense of engagement that you get by following and investigating these murders and the different leads that you find is just fantastic, super engaging. Really impressive how how like legible they kept everything. There's this another gameplay aspect where the dialogue that certain characters will speak is all written in text bubbles because there's no voice acting, and the bubbles will, or the text itself will be written in different scripts, and the scripts relate to how your character views them. And so if your character, it's all role playing, so you get to play your character however you want by, you can have certain moments to choose his backstory or different like educational opportunities that he went on, or like where did he travel as a young man. And so there's a bunch of different ways you can play that, and the way that he views other characters will then interpret the text. And so it's like a very gothic script might indicate someone who's high up in a monastery or a rank, or like a very poor kind of script that has a lot of spelling mistakes might indicate like a poor farmer or something like that. And so it's just really interesting, all of these different aspects of the presentation of the game that I think just really made it a standout game for me. And then with the addition to a great story, it's just something I would definitely recommend to anyone who is at all interested in like a really kind of great time to role play and get to really explore a world and a time and era in a really interesting and engaging way. Just
that sounds
a
cool.
very good game.
How'd you find out about this? Because I don't think I've heard a singular person ever speak about it.
That's a good question.
YouTube.
It's actually super funny because when I was in high school, I played a game on the iPad in school that had a similar art style. And I, for the life of me, could not remember what that game was called. It's called Sorcery, and I know that now. But I was doing like research on like, games that have this kind of art style, literally. And so I came across Pentiment. I was like, oh, that's from Obsidian. I think I saw a few YouTube reviewers talking about it, and I remember it had gotten good reviews. So I eventually just like, I'll play that, or I'll put it on my list. And then because I was playing Kingdom Come and Witcher, and it's all in that medieval European, dude, this Pentiment is also in the same setting. It's in ancient Bohemia. It takes place almost directly after the events of Kingdom Come, and so it just felt very tied
sequel.
In. Yeah, it's like it's mentioning characters from Kingdom Come in like the background of the dialogue in Pentiment. It's just like, man, this is so sick. I don't know why everything kind of lined up that way for me, but it made for a great time, and maybe it colored my joy and my experience with the game. But hey, I'm gonna take it.
Why don't you do another one? Just because I only have 3 and you got 6.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
Another good one to talk about, much more of like a streamlined narrative. I checked out the new game Dispatch, which is from studio Ad Hoc, which is essentially the new Telltale. So a lot of the team from Telltale went over and made their own studio, Ad Hoc Studio. And so this is their first game. And if you at all know what the Telltale structure for a game is, where they're episodic, essentially it's just a show. It's like
choose your own adventure show.
Yeah. Like what was the Black Mirror, Bandersnatch, something like that.
Right.
In that vein. This one though is you're kind of following a superhero that's a bit down on his luck, and he gets the opportunity to he loses his suit, or he's no longer super, and so he works for a dispatch company, essentially sending superheroes around to different calls that are coming in, and you have to assign them based on where you think that certain heroes would do better and for certain roles that they play.
Just like a
the gameplay is really just not that engaging. It's fine, it's serviceable. But the best part of this game is the story and the choices. The characters are all great. This is definitely one I would recommend. It plays out super well as just like a thing to put on. It's episodic. It feels very much like a show. The animation's all great, and the writing's all solid.
It's got a pretty stacked voice cast also.
The voice cast is really stacked with a bunch of talent from various different walks of life. There's obviously internet
Yeah, like
celebrities,
Hollywood people and
Hollywood people,
internet celebrities, and also like well-known voice
music
actors.
artists, voice actors. Yeah, like it definitely runs the gambit. I did not realize until it showed up at the very beginning of each episode, but Ad Hoc worked in tandem with Critical Role on these games. So Critical Role is like very much
Right, because I would hear them like
on
sponsored this, or
yeah,
they were like sponsored by it, but I guess they were involved with it
it was,
to a certain extent.
hand in hand. They
Okay,
had some sort of partnership, and it's
because at the
cool
very least, I
because
think I know
like
either
both.
Travis is in this.
Yep.
Right.
Voices and Laura and a
Right.
few others show up as limited roles. I think almost all of them probably
Damn.
from like what I was able to hear as just like
This
background
damn
voices.
union needs to stop. I need to stop hearing the same 10 fucking people in every video game ever made.
Like what the hell? Let some more people talk. Why aren't more people talking? But yeah, it's quality throughout. The animation is really impressive, honestly. Like I don't know how they animated it, but it looks better than some shows. And the
Nice.
structure is all the same. Like I said, writing is really good. Your main character, Robert Robertson, is like a really interesting character, and like Aaron Paul, Jesse from Breaking Bad, plays it super well. Really impressed by his voice acting. It doesn't really sound like him at first. It's just enough to differentiate him and create a character that is very likable, very intelligent, and just like feels good to play as. Like you get to kind of root for him and play him how you want because there are choices that you get to make. But the amount of choice and consequence in Telltale games has always been a bit of a game of smoke and mirrors and illusion of choice because there are certainly specific choices that are like the pivotal moments in a game play or like your specific gameplay loop where essentially it's like the romance for this one is very iconic and debated on which one you romance.
Who's your waifu, Peter? The invisible girl or the
no, I went with Blonde Blazer.
Damn.
I played through this game back to back and made like both sets of choices, so I got to experience both, and that's when you can really tell like certain choices are more set dressing and like don't really have as big consequences. There are certain stats that are tracked throughout the course of a playthrough,
Sure.
that will over time lead you to having different endings, but there are only a certain amount of endings. It's not like every single choice is going to have the biggest repercussions down the road.
Which I think is
while
probably
you're
better
playing
than every single, literally.
yeah,
every single
it lets you focus your resources, and the way that they hide that and like keep it really engaging for a first playthrough is super impressive, and I think definitely worth your time. I think it's just a really fun time. Some of the humor doesn't land, but overall it's a pretty funny and like also emotionally engaging show. It's hard to talk about. Like it's a game, it's a show, it's a visual novel. I don't know what it is about
It's everything.
genre, but it is everything. But definitely would recommend if you're ever looking to check out fairly
I
short
want
kind of
to
playthrough.
play this one.
Yeah,
Somewhat soon. When it goes on
8
sale
hours or
eventually
so.
on Steam, it's too expensive right now.
It's pretty cheap. It's like
I never
$30,
pay
I
full
think.
price for shit. I'm over that.
30 is not bad.
It's not bad,
yeah.
but it could go lower.
And yeah, it's not a game that you're necessarily going to get a ton of mileage out of.
Sure.
So.
And you're probably going to pay
understandable.
more money for the further episodes because I'm assuming they're going to do more of this.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably have to pay
I
more
would
for
assume so.
additional
Like, it's-
episodes anyways.
Yeah, I don't know how they would handle it. Like, there's not really DLC that you can put out for it, but you just add another season onto it. I was a huge fan.
Right, isn't
of
that how some of the other
The
things
Wolf
have
Among
gone?
Us?
Or Telltale,
Yeah,
I mean.
Telltale, they did Walking Dead, which
Right.
ran for multiple seasons of a game. It's weird
No, I
to
know.
say.
It's weird.
And then, yeah, Wolf Among Us is my standout from Telltale. RIP. But, like, the team that worked on that game and a few of, like, the other Telltale properties are the ones that are working on Dispatch. So
Okay.
glad
Yeah,
to
I've not played a
see them still
single
working.
game from that company. So
They're fun. I like that kind of that formula of just like watching a show and then essentially getting to make your
Yeah, it sounds
interactions with the
fun.
world, which just immerse yourself in the scenes and the world
Hmm.
in a very fun and enjoyable way.
Cool, cool. Um, so I played Death Stranding,
So you played
specifically the director's
Death
cut of it.
Stranding. Okay, okay.
And it's pretty interesting jumping from Metal Gear Solid 3
Mm-hmm.
Snake Eater to this one because you could very much tell that it's coming from overall the same brain. Um, and when people talk about this game, they're mostly discussing the narrative, which hopefully by this point in the show you know that to me that's only like a small sub factor of what the game should be,
Mm-hmm.
unless it's like literally a visual novel and literally the only if it's a true type of visual novel where I'm just left mouse clicking or space barring or pressing a billion times or just have the auto on. Um, but if it has gameplay in it, the gameplay should supersede the story in relevance and in importance most of the time. I sort of feel that's at least the way that I sort of feel about most things. And there may be exceptions. But when people talk about the positives of this game, it's mostly about the narrative. A lot of people do, of course, like the way that it looks, which it does look very good. And also they like it's very ambient or like immersive at times because there's it'll play music as you traverse the game performed by like various I think real world artists who are like I don't actually know them but I don't know maybe Peter would recognize them I have no idea
Maybe.
but like it's very cinematic because a cutscene will end and you'll be set out into the world and like controlling your character again and then like music will start being cued and on screen it'll show like the credits of the song that's currently playing and it feels very intentional like each one of those moments and it feels very controlled and like one like lead person going in and being like I want all of these moments to be like this and feel like this and the direction of each of the cutscenes is very well like it's all motion captured and the way that the I feel like this fucking guy should just make a movie you know like a real movie at this
It's
point
like
which
what he wants,
no I
right?
know
Like he
like
loves Hollywood so much in like game and movies and just like the idea of movies that it
mhm,
would make sense, but he gets to do it through games.
mhm. Which this is a video game because it has
It is a
gameplay in it.
video.
Um,
Hmm.
it can be summarized as a walking simulation. Um, and they go very great lengths to consider okay, you are walking. How do we make that different from other video games that has movement, which is almost all of
Because
them?
basically every game you're walking or you're
Hmm.
running, like
Yeah.
almost every single game
Yeah,
out
and
there,
in every single
you are
game,
moving.
there's that has those things. It's
Mhm.
very basic. You just move.
Yep.
You just point in the direction, and then you're moving in it. You hold down W, you move forward, and that is how this game plays and performs. In some games, you have encumbrance where it's like, oh no, I'm carrying too many items, so now I'm slow, and you just download a mod that lets
Hmm.
you ignore that because it's fucking annoying. Um, and in the way this game has encumbrance, because that's sort of the point of it. You are a package delivery person in this sort
You're
of
a delivery man. Yeah.
post-apocalyptic world where it's very dangerous to go outside. So you take this role as a porter is their title, and it's your job to deliver cargo from one facility to another, and you're sort of on your own, but the game also emphasizes the fact that you're not because there's this like online functionality where you can use other people's. Uh, there's like a structural building component thing also where you can make ladders and ropes to like navigate the world a bit easier, and you could build bridges and like a bunch of other shit. Um, so this game's been out long enough to the point where I really did not have to interact with that part of the gameplay at all, and I could just rely upon people on the internet have already gone through this part of the game, so I could just use their thing that's
Hmm.
there, which is sort of what I
Kind
did
of nice.
for the
Hmm.
most part. But anyways, the when you're walking and running around. The more weight that you have not only makes you slower, but it increases the odds of you fucking tumbling over. So you have to, as you walk, you have to like manage your balance and stuff. So like you'll just be walking forward and then you'll start tipping to the left. So you have to hold right trigger to balance yourself back. And then 3 seconds later, you start tipping to the right. And so you have to hold down left trigger to balance yourself back. And then you make a slight turn that goes to the left. And then you have to hold whatever trigger to fucking, it's that not fucking stop. And,
Sounds so engaging. It sounds incredible.
Dude, playing this game, it made me appreciate other video games so much more, because when I got back to like other video games, I was like, oh my god, I could just fucking move. I could just run around.
Experience to have. The freedom of movement.
I felt so liberated. Like when I got back to, I could like fucking move in directions and not stumble over myself every 2 seconds.
Yeah. You might even have like a double jump in some games. It's just like, wow.
Yeah. Because eventually you get a bike. And so I just use that all the time, because when you're on a bike, you don't stumble around, so I don't have to fucking manage myself every
constantly,
seconds. And the a lot of this game is cutscenes. There's so many cutscenes in this game, but there's also
long ones, I assume.
But there's also what? Sorry.
Long ones, I assume.
Ones.
From Kojima, 15, 20-minute long cutscenes.
They go longer in this. There's like strings of them near the end that goes on for like, I think 2 hours in total, but they're sort of separated by like, there's a little bit of gameplay in between of just like your final walk back to the thing. What was I going to say? You get a bike, which like when you do that, you don't have to care about the balancing stuff, so I just use that all the time after a certain point, because I was just so like even like less than 10 hours in, I like looked ahead at the chapters and I could not believe how big this game was. I was like, surely I'm halfway through, but I was like a fraction, because it's so much. Just the entire game is point A to point B to point C to point A to point D to point E to point F to point D to point B,
it's all walking. It's all getting someplace.
And a lot of people are okay with that, or not just okay with that. A lot of people enjoy that, and that was not how I felt experiencing this thing that can be considered a video game.
It.
I would have gotten a much better enjoyment, I feel like, if I just watched the cutscenes on YouTube and just did not play it. Like, would the story have made as big as an impact on me if I had just watched the cutscenes versus playing the game? Maybe. Because I'm going to be completely honest. It was really, really difficult for me to pay attention to the cutscenes, because in the back of my head, at every moment, I'm like, when this ends, I have to keep fucking walking for another 5 hours.
Like you can tell from the way the cutscene is like playing out, where you're like, oh no, I'm gonna have to go there, aren't I?
Well, I didn't even have to like by the end, they're like, go here now.
Damn, I know that sounds like another mission.
But it's I mean, like even in full-blown conversations where it's not about that at all. It's like I'm sitting there, I'm supposed to be paying attention to the cutscene. I'm supposed to be engaging and paying attention to like, but it was just so difficult for me too, because I was just thinking, when this is over, I have to keep going again, and it's just not fun. Like they put so much effort into the like, here are all of these mechanics that we're teaching you. Here's all of this equipment you could use to make your life easier, and here's all of these like various different methods to traverse the landscape and make things like easier for you. And here's all of these things you have to maybe worry about avoiding, and here's ways to like. There's so much consideration upon this walking simulator that it almost just sort of pisses me off, because you could have put all of that attention and devotion into something legitimately fun, but instead it just feels like bullshit. Like it pissed me off, and it did bother me when it came to the cutscenes, where I was supposed to be sitting down, paying attention, enjoying them, but I just couldn't. So like I only retained so much of the story, which is one of the better parts of the game that people like. I only retained so much of it 'cause I was so distracted.
The gameplay was that bad. It was literally distracting.
For me. which again, a lot of people can look past it or just straight up enjoy it. I don't know. A lot of people do find it relaxing, even though like it's not at all. Like it's stressful. Like there's dudes who will try to chase after you sometimes, and they play like this. They're really easy to defeat, but it plays like this really intense sound, like whenever they're nearby and stuff. And then there's this other sort of more monstrous alien type of enemies that will appear before you, and they're really interesting because they'll sort of like fuck up the entire world around you. And like there's this theme of oil, but like I don't know what it means.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I just wasn't, after a certain point I could not pay attention. It's not I wouldn't, I could not. Which sucks. But I was able to retain a couple of moments that required little to no context to be invested in. Mads Mikkelsen is in this, and he plays a character called The Veteran because it's a Kojima game.
Of course.
And he's unironically one of the coolest video game characters ever. I say again as a person who doesn't really fucking know what he was doing or what his whole deal was. He's like sort of your father, but like not really.
It's weird stuff, weird Kojima stuff.
Yeah, it's some sort of abstract shit. But there's this moment where he, there's boss fights in this walking sim, because you do get guns and stuff that you could shoot at people. But there's these required story boss fights that happen every once in a while. And the ones with Mads Mikkelsen is that like there's 3 of them, and you transport to like fictionalized slightly rendition of World War One, then 2, then Vietnam, I think, for like each encounter. And in doing so, like the landscape changes and the armor he's wearing like reflects that of the time. And he also has this skeleton army that is dressed up in like the American military gear at the time. Also, it's unironically really cool as just like a
set piece.
It's just
like
a rule of
artistic
cool
design.
thing. Mads Mikkelsen with the skeleton army dressed in American military gear in the past.
It's like I could get behind
epic.
that.
That's badass. There's this part where he's in like a pool of oil, and he takes a cigarette and lights it like magically or something.
The whole thing.
I'm like, shit, that's badass. But wait, not in the oil. That's
it's
not
oil.
good for you.
It's like, wait.
And then he raises the skeleton army and tosses the cigarette into the oil, and they all light up in flames.
Shit.
And they just like
And
he
then
does
they
like the
rush
go
him.
forward motion.
Yep.
It's so sick because that's the
kinda
only
peak.
fucking thing I could retain is that surface level moment. Which
it
is
looks
really cool, but it requires no like story
investment into the narrative. Yeah.
Conclude that that's a cool thing. Like you just look at it and you're like, that's nice. So that's my main fucking takeaway from the story, is just that out of context moment of Mads Mikkelsen rising from an oil pool, smoking a cigarette. His skeleton army raises from it. He sets them all on fire.
Maybe the rest of the game, maybe the rest of the story is like that, but I guess we'll never know. It's like because it didn't stick out enough.
I will, truthfully, probably just rewatch the cutscenes on their own. I think is like in a however long from now, because I do want to give it a shot, and I do want to be interested in it, but I cannot.
Are you gonna try and play 2 next then?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm gonna play 2.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's why. Yeah, because I've heard good things about 2. And I've heard that it kind of ironed out the
supposedly the
jankiness
game
of,
plays
like,
better. I think.
Yeah, it's like I heard that they had to lean more into the shooter aspect, which is like fine. That's what makes it fun. Like you don't need to gamify walking. It feels unnecessary.
Yeah, it was so. It felt silly, honestly. And there's a lot of things in the world that don't really make sense either. Like there's a French actress who's in this game, Léa Seydoux.
Léa Seydoux. Yeah.
She has this umbrella, which is like the most impractical like it doesn't even work as an umbrella, like if you really look at it, because there's like this really it's like a variant of acid rain. It's like a more dangerous thing where it'll speed up time, and so it'll like damage the cargo you're carrying, and also like it's a thing that people are trying to avoid, and it's one of the main reasons why people don't go outside. And like you have that umbrella to protect yourself from that, but you would think that, or at least I think that's what it's for. Like I don't actually know though. It was just weird. Like it looks like a cool umbrella, but it just is not practical. They also drive around at the very beginning of the game. They drive around in these very tall cars, which, as far as center of gravity is concerned, it looks like a really, really bad idea. Because it looks like it could just topple over real easily. Like just like a little bit of wind or something, or like a little bit of a bump on the road, and the whole thing comes flying over. So that doesn't make sense. And then the whole idea of the bridge making, like it's so easy with their technology to just make infrastructure. Like it's like, oh, you just have enough metal for a thing, you put it into this tube, and then it fucking on its own creates a bridge. Which I understand from a gameplay perspective is just to make that easier. But when he's trying to have the lore be so baked into the gameplay, and just like the story to be so important, that stuck out to me also. Of like, if it's this easy to do this shit, how much more difficult would it be to just like make tunnels or something? Or like I don't know. Am I thinking about it in the wrong way? Yeah, he didn't want me to think at all. He just wanted me to move around while listening to music and not worry about the fact that I have to fucking tumble over myself every 3 seconds. So that was a thing.
It seems like it's almost at odds with his like style of storytelling, where like the charming aspects of the Metal Gear series was like how campy it was, and like why is Revolver Ocelot like rowering and like posing at the camera? It's like,
because it's funny.
I don't know. It's like because it's really funny, and it's like you kind of the way you were describing like Leia Sedo's umbrella, for instance, is like that could be played out really like.
I think it's just like trying weird. To be a cool umbrella design. Like, I don't think it's trying to be funny. Like you're not supposed to look at it in the way I look at it.
It's not supposed to be that's not practical. All. I just be like, that's not weird. Damn. Interesting.
Because again, you could definitely tell it's coming from the same brain.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in a narrative sense, it's an evolution, right? Where he's mastered the art of fucking filmmaking in a video game, right? Just like the cutscene direction, and maybe the acting's better, and they got motion capture to make things more accurate and stuff. So it has the potential there. It's just that I did not enjoy the gameplay, so I did not enjoy the game. Like, it's that simple, is how I perceive and justify it, despite its 4.3 average rating on a backlog.
I was checking that out. That seems very high.
Yeah. But again, it's because backlog is so small with the
yeah. It's only like 40,000 plays or 30,000, you know.
Yeah, because if more normal people, or because there was a lot of people who
too many
played it and dropped it when it was released.
Yeah, and just never reviewed it. It's like, damn, this shit suck.
Yeah, you just like got in and got out versus me, who stuck with it for like, goddamn 40 hours or some shit. I don't know.
Oh, that's a long one.
Is so long. Like, I thought it would be half that, maybe. Like I could not believe how
like you're checking
fucking long. I'm like
essentially the table of contents. Like
I like looked up how many chapters there were.
God.
I was on 6 out of 16 or some shit. I was like, oh my god,
no.
And then I like looked up on Reddit like how long are each of them. It's like I would like look back on it every so often and be like, all right, so this one chapter 8 is very long, and then chapter 9 and 10 are very short. So I was like, okay. To like measure out how much of the game I thought was left. And like if I'm doing that, that's not a good thing probably. Like if I played this game when I was 15, I would have dropped it. I would have been done with it. I would have never
like, bro,
came back to this.
You'd be doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But for some reason in the modern day, I'm like,
stick it out.
I'm gonna do it. It'll make the podcast so much better.
Yeah.
That's not what I was thinking. But actually, that's the real reason. Actually, the real reason is so... Because here's the thing,
for consistency.
Right? Mm-hmm. If I played it and stopped it, people would be like, bro, you didn't even give it a chance. You gotta finish it all the way. Versus, oh, I beat it and I don't like it still. And it's like... I mean, to be fair, again, I was very distracted by just
Mhm.
the whole shenanigans of things.
Lack of fun. It's distract.
Lack of fun. I quit. I got off job 1 to enter job 2. This is how it felt.
Yeah, that's how gaming is supposed to be, I think, or something like that. Yeah,
Bro, I don't want to have a second job, bro. That sucks. People don't like that. They try to. People tend to avoid doing that typically.
typically, yeah.
Not Kojima fans though. They'll be
Not
like,
yeah, not
Kojima.
yeah.
Kojima-san wants me to be a porter. I will deliver all the cargo I
I will do
fucking
it.
possibly can. I'll deliver all the cargo.
The sense of immersion, you don't understand. The gameplay is not fun because it's immersive.
Mm.
Like, it serves a narrative purpose. Yeah, it's like for 40 hours. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out at some point.
Oh, you have
Um, I mean, I have to. I simply have to. Especially because if a sequel has gotten good reviews, I'm more inclined to go back and give the original a fair shake. I did it with
Oh, you
Kingdom
should
Come
play it,
Deliverance
Peter. You
recently,
should.
and
You might
so
like. You
I'll
might
do
like The
it.
Walking. You might.
Maybe I will. Maybe it'll click for me. Maybe I will be part of the
And then we can have a
4.3%.
huge debate.
Yeah,
The game we disagree on the most. Death
that'll be
Stranding
one of
fucking
them.
sucks versus
That's
Death Stranding. It's
if
the
I like
coolest
it.
thing ever. Or we
I
could just have the
I
same
just
opinion
can't
for
see
the
myself doing
1000th time.
that though. Yeah, I think it might be one of those cases. The reason why I haven't checked it out yet is because it
Yeah, it
didn't
seems daunting.
seem interesting. It seems like it's not fun. And the reviews I remember seeing when they first came out were like,
Yeah, this
yeah,
game was a joke when it first
the
released.
gameplay is the least interesting aspect of it, and it is the biggest barrier to entry. It's like,
Yeah.
but bro, what are you doing for 30 out of the 40 hours? It, it's it's something that I haven't really been looking forward to, but I will now because you did it, and so I have to.
Hey, join the party.
It's just how it goes. How it goes.
Oh yeah, the second one also has Elle Fanning in it, and I like her in a very normal,
Big fan.
very
Yeah.
normal, rational way. So, I need to see her in the motion capture thing, or whatever.
Did you check
Obviously.
out the new Predator or what it
No,
is the new Predator one?
I would like to.
Yeah.
And there's also that movie she's in that also came out recently that was in film festivals earlier in the year that I forget the name of. But it's about like the old actor dude and his daughters, and then Elle Fanning is like the protege actress
Huh.
or something. I forget what it's called.
I don't know if I've seen that much stuff.
Supplemental value or sentimental value, or is that a different thing?
Yeah, supplemental sounds right. But is that all you have to stay
Yeah,
on?
sentimental value. That one. Yeah, that's my verdict on the Death Stranding case. I'm excited and
A
hyped
whole lot of
to
mid
play the second game.
and
It was
good.
just annoying, and I'll revisit the cutscenes, and maybe when I hit Death Stranding 2, I'll give my verdict on the story and how I feel about it, and if I like it or not. Because I'm sure I would, if I legitimately was capable of giving it any attention of mine. But
But as it
unfortunately,
stands,
as the death stands,
as the death stranded you
bro,
got stranded.
it stranded me
Yep.
in the fucking backlogged audience. I'm the only person who doesn't like it that much.
Hey, you gotta stand strong. You have unique opinions and
That's
never
why we have
waver.
this podcast.
hmm
All right.
On my
What'd you
end
get?
of gaming, I can cover a couple of these together
Mm-hmm.
because I ended up playing Dave the Diver,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know if you've ever
Oh,
heard
okay.
about that one.
Yeah.
It's pixel art, 2D adventure. You're kind of you're split between managing a sushi restaurant and then also diving for those fish in this little lagoon or ocean that you have nearby. And it's pretty fun. It's very charming. The art is all great. Like the pixel art animation is probably the best I've ever seen. Just super high quality animations, and there's a lot of fun and charm with them. A lot of personality. This game is really runs the gambit on gameplay elements. There are a million and one mini games that you'll end up going through. When you're catching fish, they'll each have like different tools that you can use to catch them, and you'll unlock those as you go along. It has the elements of a roguelite when you're doing your deep dives into the ocean and bringing back fish. My favorite aspect was the restaurant management. I thought it was really fun being able to like create a recipe and like a menu using the fish that you've caught during the days, and you're able to eventually get like a farm, like a fish farm, and like you're able to grow them passively, and then you can actually get like a farm in and of itself and grow vegetables and stuff that will let you get even more recipes and kind of fill out your menu even more. It's a fun time. I think overall it's a bit shallow. It kind of drags on towards the end because you're doing a lot of the same things, and it ends up being a little repetitive. But overall, it's pretty fun for the beginning. I think the the ending, I just kind of burnt out on it, and it's not necessarily super long. I think I probably spent around like 20 or so hours with it. But it's a little grating towards the end. There are these elements of boss fights though that are pretty cool, and have like their own arenas and will give you multiple shots to take them down. And it's just all set up really well with great animation and set design, and like the overall world and art is just really stand out for me. So one that I would recommend checking out if you're into those kind of cozy games, or you want sort of like a game that you can experience a bunch of different little things.
Right.
There's like a smartphone that you have in game that you access certain things through, and like there are games on that smartphone that you can play in game, and of course there's like a bunch of other things like that.
Sure.
The story's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's mostly played for comedy, but yeah, a bunch of other good stuff like that.
Because I was gonna say at least my thought of it, and maybe this doesn't sound the most appealing, but it feels like sort of two mobile games in one, where you got like the diving thing and you got the restaurant management stuff, and it's the connectivity and interaction between that, as well as the other things you just mentioned.
I think labeling it as a mobile game is a little
well, it sounds mean, but
reductive,
it's
but it does have that kind of appeal to it though.
Of like the simple relaxing gameplay of the restaurant management thing, and then also the going diving and spelunking, but through combining them and having a higher quality than most mobile games, it's able to create something a bit stronger than that, I would assume, as a person who has not
that's a
played
great
it.
way to put it. It is a very solid way to put it. And after playing that, I wanted to kind of continue in my management genre of games. So I checked out a new game called News Tower, which is, I was feeling nostalgic when I saw that one, because it is very reminiscent of those sorts of management games that were like on early iPhones, or I think it's like, what was it, Paper Tower or something like
Tiny
that?
Tower?
Tiny Tower. Yes, that's it.
That's the one I played.
Yeah,
I love that one.
And there are various different games like that. This one is definitely in line with that, where you're building up a newspaper, and you're trying to kind of grow your influence over early 1930s New York, and you're kind of just hiring people and, getting more resources so you can expand your building and get more printers and more editors and people who can draw, and photographers and editors and various different things. And it's charming in a similar way. I don't often play these kind of games, these like resource management tycoon type games, but I can definitely see the appeal. There was something I just wanted to play it for the watch number go up kind of appeal to it.
Sure.
Where you're just like, okay, I'm constantly improving. You're just taking it slow, day by day, week by week. But over the course of the gameplay loop, where essentially you're sending reporters out to get leads and get stories. You bring them over to a typist. They kind of work on it for a course of an hour and then send it to the printer. And so once you have that, you have a finished story. And so there are various different things you can do along that pipeline, by like benefiting how well they're received, or like various different things, and then you can place them in your finished printer at the end of the week and kind of set the layout of the news. You can go like page by page and get your different stories that line up. Each story has certain tags that you can kind of combo together on a page, and there's certain layouts on the page that are particularly good and will net you more readers and more money. And so that sort of loop is fairly fun. I think it suffered from a similar issue with pacing, and just like kind of things grinding to a stop towards the end, where it's just too repetitive and there's not enough growth or operation. I think that's always going to be the tightrope that has to be walked when you're creating management games like this, is like making sure you have a good balance of progression versus expansion, and just like trying to make sure it's all cohesive. And I think this one kind of missed the mark towards the end, but overall it's fun, and I'm glad I checked it out. I don't remember where I heard about it first, but because it just came out. It must have showed up on Steam or something like that. I'm like, oh, this one kind of seems like might be up my alley. So glad I checked it out. It's like a super standard 7 out of 10 kind of game. Like that's just like how it's like.
Yeah, it has a purpose. It
average.
Fulfills it.
Yep. Not blowing me out of the water, but it's a fun time.
Yeah, nice. I played a lot of games like this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like on the mobile, on the iPod Touch back in the day.
It's something about the accessibility of having it on mobile is particularly appealing, especially with something like a tycoon game or management game where you get to check in on it every so often, and it'll always be something to improve. I think that's kind of why they popped off so much early on in like mobile gaming era. I really don't game on mobile too much anymore. I feel like that's a whole genre of games that we're not even tapped into. Who knows? The market could be way bigger.
Because the one I grew up with was way better. Exactly. I think it's just gotten more monetized in general for gaming as a whole, but especially mobile gaming, where like it was already fairly monetized, but there were a lot of decent and really good games that were free. Because when I go to the toilet and I poop, I go on Clash of Clans, and over time that game is not completely changed, but it's leaned much more heavily into, okay, we're gonna borrow the monetary models of other video games, where I think there's a battle pass, and now there's all of these skins for the bases and the hero characters, just because they are copying whatever other video game companies are doing. So I'd say that is a reflection of, because that was an old mobile game that was there since near the start of the iOS stuff. So I'd say that's a good like example of the way that the modern landscape has changed for mobile games specifically. But yeah, I don't fucking interact with any of those. There's a Final Fantasy thing that was on mobile exclusively for a while that's supposedly really good, and it somewhat recently got on to legitimate systems, which I forget what that one was called. But it's a thing that exists. So probably the better ones are just going to be brought over to other things anyways.
That sounds about right.
Because like on your phone, it's so small. Like I remember playing Arknights, which is another gacha game, and the text on that was so small on my fucking phone, I could barely read anything.
It's definitely a problem, because like the quality and like the framing of a lot of games is still in like that cinematic style, so it's like it doesn't always translate well to a phone.
There's some where it's fine enough. Like you get the jetpack joyrides, right? And that you have enough vision on the screen to be able to tell what's happening, and you just put your finger on it. But when it is that more narrative structures to things, and you have to read text in a particular, like it's just difficult.
Did you ever play the Infinity Blade games?
No, I know you like those.
Damn, it's just so peak. And it's like, it kind of got around that by not having super narrative moments. Like, there's obviously a story that I think is still like best on mobile, but I think it was just like there was definitely a lot of quality coming out of mobile games.
Well, I never played those because they were $1 at least. And I only
you had to pay for them. Yeah. I mean, it was Epic Games' first hit before Fortnite.
Really?
Yeah, crazy.
Damn.
See how far we've come. Fortnite people used to be mobile gamer developers. Look what they make now.
God damn.
That's all I had to talk about. My couple games. If you want to talk about.
So yeah,
is this your final one?
I got one more after this.
All right.
So I got this and another. And this next one is a game that I am replaying, and it's even one that Peter has talked about here on the channel before, where I expressed my goals to go back to it somewhat recently in the future from the past, me saying that. And that game is Baldur's Gate 3. And this game is so awesome. I'm going from basically like one of my least favorite game experiences to one of my favorites with the Death Stranding. I'm like, I need something. Save me. I cannot be in this. I hate video games. They just suck. They're all terrible. Oh wait, the peak is right before me, and it's right in front of me. So yeah, I'm replaying this one. I'm using some mods. Most of them are visual tweaks. Very few of them are gameplay. I plan on doing that more in the future because I plan on doing even more runs of the game beyond what I'm just doing right now. And I'm on Act 3 right now. I still have to beat it. I'd say I'd have like another week or so of content left in this run of things. And sort of like you, I'm doing a different. I'm trying to be different, but it's also very difficult for me too because I cannot be evil. I don't like that.
I don't know what it is about the role playing system, but it's just like you see the dialogue that is the right dialogue in my mind, and I can't not choose it. Like, what? Especially
since I've already gone through the first playthrough and I've gotten to know each character, which they're all very good. And I already have that bias if I like all of them, and I don't want to see them.
I'm not going to see bad things happen to them.
No, I need to do Jahira's quest, even though I'm not actually fucking using her as a party member, and I really don't need to do it, but I need to, because I wasn't planning on doing an evil playthrough. That's going to be my next one, where I play as a Dark Urge, and hopefully by then I play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, because that's something I want to do also.
That'll be cool.
Because I own those on the Switch also. At some point I bought those. So
are they
back when I did not have a good gaming PC, and also back when I did not have a PS5, and back when I did not have a Steam Deck. They bought it on Switch. Do with what you had. I need it now, even though at that point I wasn't playing it. Which, because those are weird. Because are they on 3.5 edition of D&D, or are they on 4, or do you even know?
Yeah, it's on 3.5 for 1 and 2, I think. Yeah.
So that would be an interesting jump, because I love this game, and again I'm not doing an evil. I was trying to be a little bit more neutral overall, and I'm trying to, in general, do somewhat different things from the first playthrough. Though again, it's hard not to sometimes. One of the main goals was to get Minthara, because I missed out on recruiting her the first time around, which I don't know if in the original, the first patch release of the game, if the only way to recruit her was to side with the goblins in Act 1, or could you still knock her out and then she appears in Act 2 and then you could rescue her? Because that's what I did this time.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I remember having complications with it, like you, where
I just killed her. I didn't even know
playthrough
that you could recruit her at all, like regardless of.
I think it was a more complicated thing when it first released. And
Yeah,
then
I think they made it easier on a further patch, because also when you have Halcyon, because I want to say that they thought the
Yeah.
characters would be mutual exclusive, because when you have both Halcyon and Minthara in camp together, they share like the same camp spot. So like Minthara overwrites Halcyon's camp slot, so he just like stands off to the side a little bit. So I had to like get a mod for that just to have his own fucking camp space. Not that it matters that much, but just for immersion, he's just like standing there like, bro, what are you doing? Set up your own shop. Get away from my girl. Okay.
It does seem like he has like the least amount of development time behind him, just because like once you get like to Act 3, he doesn't respond. As much,
he's
as
relevant in
many
Act 1
dialogue.
and 2, and then by 3, which is fair. It makes sense because you know Jaheira isn't in Act 1 at all. Minsk is not in Act 1 or 2. To be fair, they're both from previous Baldur's Gate games.
Yeah.
Fan
service type.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like Halcyon also is not. He's not an origin character, so he's going to have less involvement in things. But as far as his implementation, I still really like him. It's just he doesn't have much of a connection to anything, and literally anything in Act 3.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing about Minthara. And you make a good point about them. They're just not the origin characters, so there's not as much depth there.
Yeah, they're nice to have around, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the other thing. I'm playing on Tactician this time, which is a higher difficulty than whatever normal mode was called. But despite that, I'm actually having an easier time with the game just because I understand it more.
And there's even more tools at your disposal now with the new
the new subclass, and playing around with those. Arcane Archer, they made it so much better. Because I like that subclass a lot in 5e. The 2024 version, they sort of fixed it and made it better. But the 2014 version of it sucked. It was like, I think on long rest, you get them back and you just have like no options. And so, but it's as simple as, you make the shots refresh on short rest. And it's like, oh my God, it's nuts. It's crazy. I could banish this guy and ensnare this guy and then shoot an explosion at these enemies. It's so nuts. And dude, why... I like the fact that they let you play around with things, and we're not afraid to make some things broken. Like, dude, Tavern Brawler with thrown weapons is so nuts.
Just so
it's
busted.
So fucking broken.
It's easily the most broken perk in the game. Feat. It's just like none of the other ones even compared to how much stronger it will make you at combat.
Yeah.
And like obviously combat's not the only thing. But like when we're talking about game-breaking feats, like that's definitely one of them.
I mean, because that's the cool thing about the game is you could talk your way out of a lot of situations. You can discover, like by exploring, you read like random books or talk to other characters. They tell you information. You could use that information to interact with the NPCs to let you do the thing rather than the social checks. Or you could just fight them and kill them or knock them out. Probably, I haven't done that, but I think that's sort of my plan in my next version, my next like play session of this game is I'm just gonna kill everybody
you can
and
just
see
kill
what happens.
Everyone.
Like I'm curious to see what would happen. I would imagine I would just walk around it mostly empty.
Yeah, I mean if you do that as the Dark Urge,
bro, it would be in line.
Very narratively fitting.
Yeah, as a guy who doesn't know anything about that, that's my plan right now. So there's that. Also, Thief Rogue, like absolutely fucking nuts. Just if you have a character who has a weaponized bonus action at the ready,
just getting another one on a turn.
It's just nuts.
That
and it's also really great for setups
like a multi-attack
because some characters have like bonus action to do this thing. So like if a barbarian rages, it's just I could do that and then also start kicking people. Right, in the same turn,
it's also great for movement. Like
if they have the cunning action.
Because
they'll have
or Step of the Wind. Monk stuff is also very useful with it. Yeah, there are certain subclasses, certain feats, and certain like dips that are just like worth having. Like that new Hexblade Warlock. It's very convenient being able to bind to a weapon and use your charisma modifier.
Bro, you could already do that through their level 3 version of the packed weapon. But just to do it from level 1, it's just such an easy dip that any paladin, bard, sorcerer can take to get medium armor proficiency. You get your hex, you get your, if you want to go 2 levels, you get your Eldritch Identifications. of whatever thing you want. And I like multi-classing, and I like it specifically with if you can combine the a concept with it being legitimately good in game, which may relate to a thing I will mention in the YouTube section, because we already mentioned D4, who's great, but I discovered another thing, another person who sort of makes Baldur's Gate 3 specifically
content
stuff,
creator.
which I was not using specifically for this run because I already pre-planned them before all that, but it was something I discovered like mid doing all this. And I was like, oh, that's
sick.
That's a unique idea. And yeah, it's just, this game is like a miracle, right? Like there's just so many
incredible.
things that could have gone wrong, but somehow they make it all come together. Like there's just so much consideration put into everything, so much interaction, so many lines of dialogue, and pretty much all of it is fully voiced. It's really impressive, and it just like
the production quality, the art is great, like the animation, it all looks great.
Like,
the
dude,
effects are all great. Voice acting, obviously,
voice
great.
acting is so good, and the
Music,
overall the writing is so good, and like they're considering all of this, not only Baldur's Gate history stuff, but also D&D in general.
Yeah, it's a lot of lore. Like the Forgotten Realms is a disgusting amount of lore, and like
I could only imagine what their notes looked like, man. It's
yeah. It's like it definitely just seems like a passion project. Like it seems like all the developers love D&D. They love RPG games.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the what are the games that they developed before?
Divinity.
Why am I blanking? Divinity Original Sins. Yeah. They had a good grasp on how to make like a game like that and the interactivity. It's really just an incredible series of circumstances where I think the people who were best fit to create a D&D game got hired essentially
got the
to
chance
create the D&D game, and the fact
and
that it's being like a sequel or whatever is
to their already existing stuff.
Yeah.
And they take a system which is quite flawed, D&D. It's really nice, it's really fun, it's really cool, but a lot of the rules are very vague. Just like things don't necessarily play out like in the exact way that you might read them, and it's the rules are so interpretable in so many different ways, and each table plays the game in so many different ways, and this game somehow puts it all in under like one roof, one system. Everything is defined, and here's like how it plays out and works, and it's really solid overall. Again, like there's some imbalances in there, but like just the fact that you're able to do that at all and fit it within, here's this big narrative, here's all this other stuff going on, like it's so impressive. I think
it's also fairly accessible. Like there are a lot of people who are going into it, it's like aren't usually going into turn-based combat systems, or people who aren't familiar with D&D are checking it out, and the fact that obviously people love it, it's been widely celebrated as like one of the best games in the past decade, maybe of all time. And it's impressive that a game like, translating D&D, which is already a very foreign concept to a lot of people, though it's getting more and more recognition, I think, over the past, I'd say, 10, 15 years or so. The fact that it's able to take something as esoteric as D&D or like a tabletop RPG and translate it to the biggest stage imaginable in gaming, and it be so successful and so innovative and just quality across the board is, I'll never stop singing its praises. Yeah,
this game is awesome. But it's not without its random issues. There's bugs all over the place with this.
Oh yeah.
Which is annoying. There was this
especially towards the end.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Like Act 3. I think it's just like where I noticed more and more of like quest lines failing or dropping off, or like certain problems with I don't know, quest markers.
That's what I was going to mention.
Flags were bugged. It
was so annoying. Because some of them do, they will, the quest lines will end if you do someone else somewhat related to it. And like sometimes that's defined in the wiki, and sometimes it's, Like, not at all. There was this one called Free the Artist, which you get in Act 1. There's like this thieves hideout thing. And they like kidnap this artist who's like hiding in there. So I took out all the thieves, and then I noticed, oh, there's a dude still here who wasn't fighting. So I talked to him, and he's like, oh, I'm this artist guy, blah, blah, blah. They captured me. Oh, but you defeated them. So I'm going to go to Baldur's Gate right now. I'll meet you there. So I'm like, okay. And then I finish Act 1, I go through all of Act 2, and then at the very end of Act 2, as I'm about to transition into Act 3, it's like, quests updated. And I go check the journal, and it's Free the Artist, and it's completed, and it's like, you left them with the thieves people. And I'm like, no, the fuck I didn't.
It's like, no, yeah.
What the fuck do you mean? No, I did not.
I freed you, and I told you we said we're gonna meet there.
So I legitimately don't know how that happened. Like, is the only way to get that to happen is you have to talk to them while they're alive, and you have to convince them to free him? Because that's another way to get him to leave. Or like you pay the thieves to free him, and then he like goes away. So that's like one method of doing it. But I like killed them first, and so therefore, like, is that the bug, or is it because of that and some other completely other random thing? Like, I have no idea.
That's the thing with like such a openly
There's
sandbox
so many
game, like with so
variables.
many interactions, is like it's hard to pin down like what the problem is and like figure out like, oh, is there a solution? Sometimes it's more obvious, but for things like that where it's like, oh, this is a quest that I was ignoring for the past like 5 hours, I finish up the rest of my act and I'm ready to move on, and all of a sudden I'm like, wait, that was like, I don't know when the last save is that I could ever like try and like worry about that. I can't go back.
Yeah. At a certain point, you just have to stop caring and press
yeah,
on.
it's like, okay, I don't need to complete everything.
No, I know.
And it's,
Yeah.
I guess it's nice for that to ground you and be like, okay.
It's also encourages replay where it's like, oh, well, I didn't do that this time, but maybe on my subsequent runs,
It's
I'll
like,
pay more
but
attention
I
to that.
did do that. I did, and you're telling me I didn't. So it could still.
Yeah,
be
that's annoying
irritating.
when the game.
I think
flags
that's
it as
fair to be
not
irritated with
happening,
it.
despite the fact that you
Yeah.
experienced it. You're not gonna manipulate my brain into thinking the opposite.
Yeah.
I know what happened. I
There's
experienced it. It was real. I freed him. I helped the artist. He got away. I know what happened.
I killed the rest of the thieves. Like,
Bro, I did not
there's
leave
no
him
more
there. I killed
Zentrum
them
there.
all, and I looted the place.
It's definitely a symptom of that just like open sandbox type of design where it's just like you have to account for everything, but because there are so many things that can happen randomly or like unintentionally, well, you're gonna come into some complications there for sure.
Oh yeah. Before I get into some other bugs, the party composition I sort of was going for was sort of a traditional RPG party, which does not really work in most D&D, but because this game is awesome, it sort of does. Where I would have a jack of all trades, a DPS, a tank, and a support healer person. Because like healing doesn't really work in D&D, but with the power of that this game allows you for, there's like enough equipment and stuff to, and
That can
subclass
really buff your
potential. Like I
heals.
took
Yeah.
Life Cleric with Stars Druid,
Yeah.
and there's this one spell that they could concentrate on that makes it so that rather than rolling dice to heal, you just take the maximum value
Hit the max.
it would get.
Yep.
And so
And then there are like your different equipment that you can do to add bonuses to all your heals.
Yeah, there's a thing
it's
that
just
like makes when you heal somebody, it gives them more,
Gives them
like
bless,
a 1d4
or
on
like,
some
yeah.
sort of defense thing. Yeah, it's nuts.
Also,
It's
Blade Ward
crazy.
later is like,
Yeah.
okay, so we're just gonna give resistance to everything, like all non-magical damage.
Well, because that was the other thing for the
It's like,
tank.
wow.
I could have get the Yankee armor, which gives resistance to psychic, and then combine that with Wild Heart Barbarian, which gives resistance to everything but
it's just
psychic. So you just have
complete
resistance
immunity.
to everything.
Yeah, that's pretty fire.
So that's it's nice because like in most games or in most D&D campaign things, like the healer, it doesn't really fucking exist. You cannot sustainably heal. That's not how the game works. But because this game's awesome, it just lets you be able to do that. Like my character would take a lot of damage, and then I'd be
Limited,
like,
yeah.
nah, you're
But it's
good.
also like extremely resisted, so you can heal them even better.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
even more
exactly.
effective just because all the damage is resisted. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
that's cool.
very fun.
And then for my character, I did a thing that I've been wanting to do in like actual D&D campaigns, which is the other cool thing about this video game is since it has D&D is a game that I like, but I don't play a whole lot of it in my life, and so I have like a document that's around 100 pages in like future characters I want to play. And this game sort of lets me live out some of those that I may not be
Yeah,
able to do,
vicariously.
which is really cool. So there's this one that I was not able to do it exactly the way I wanted because not every single subclass and spell or whatever was in this. In the base game, there's mods for it, which again I'll mess around with in the future. But it was basically the idea is you take one level in every class, and like it's super shitty. It's decent. It's actually pretty damn good for the first 2, 3, maybe 4 levels, and then it falls off way to the end because you're just getting a bunch of bullshit that does not help.
Yeah.
But even in this game, it's still pretty good. Like I'm just like the ultra. I'm really more of a support unit. I'm sort of a jack of all trades, but like not really, because I can like sort of hit things sometimes. That's okay because Booming Blade is pretty damn good. But I just use my characters like the Blesser, and there's a staff that when you bless, it applies another stack of bless. So it's like my characters do not miss, and they save on saving throws quite often. So it's fun. It's nice, and I like it quite a bit. There's for thrown weapons, it's annoying to a certain extent because you'll throw it, and then for some mechanics, either the weapon itself will have the property of when you throw it it'll return to you, or sometimes you can grant that weapon the return property so that when you throw it, it gets back to your hand, so you can just keep throwing it on your turns rather than you throw a different item each time, which is annoying. So returning weapons are nice, and when you do that, you throw it, and sometimes it like takes forever to return. Like I'm like, okay, I throw it, okay, I see the damage it deals, okay, I want to throw it again, but it's not back in my hand yet, so I have to wait. And then sometimes I'm waiting for like a few seconds. I'm like, is it coming back to my hand? And sometimes it doesn't, and I'm like, why did it not this time versus it did every other time? And sometimes it chases it. Like I think it takes longer the further you are away from it. But it's still annoying because again, sometimes it does not return. So I'm sitting there. Is it taking forever or is it not coming back? And I have to do a different thing. You know what I mean? It's just sort of annoying.
And the problem with like not having a weapon return is like sometimes I would just forget to loot it back off the floor.
It's very easy to like not see them also because a lot of spaces are dark or they blend in because they're skinny and there's just a lot of stuff in the environment. So I on my first playthrough I definitely forgot of like a couple things. I'm like fuck.
Yep.
It was like an important throwing item that was decent.
Yeah. It's like you go into the next battle and like
you're and they would not have the thing. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, it's like you just have to pray that it happens like it's in the same encounter or like the same dungeon instead of I left
like either next turn or worst case scenario next fight, which is like an hour after or something.
Yeah, brutal.
So that's the thing that's slightly annoying. There's also there's a lot of bugs when it comes to especially item descriptions. Some of them are just wrong, like straight up. Like there's this cloak or something where the description of it is the same description as wet, where it's like, oh, you have resistance to fire damage, but you're vulnerable to lightning and thunder damage. Mm-hmm. But you're not vulnerable to either of those types. Instead, you're given some other like good thing instead. So the cloak is actually way better than the way the game describes it.
Is that the wave cloak or whatever from is that Act 3?
Probably an Act 3 one. I forget what you get from like I don't know if they're druids or there's some like weird ritual people. It might be that.
Yeah. The followers of she's the goddess
the
of
drowned
storm.
Goddess.
Yeah, the drowned goddess.
The bitch queen is what they call her.
Yeah, they do.
Which that doesn't seem like a very good title for a person you admire.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of items that are not correct. There's for the Free the Artist quest, one of the rewards for that is this ring, which when you wear it, it gives you this really good benefit, but it curses you. And The bug is that the curse just doesn't happen. So you only get the good benefit from it.
It's like, oh, great. I guess it's nice that there's
I mean, I'll take it.
Beneficial bugs.
Except I won't take it because the quest didn't fucking work. Is what I would say if I completed it in a way.
You can't even get the reward. Problem solved, I guess.
And well, there's this one's pretty well known. There's the bug where like Polearm Master bonus action attack doesn't add your modifiers and other things, which is that's just annoying. Like, dude.
And you'd think it'd be patched because that's been in since day one. But
I guess Larian doesn't care about us.
It might just be how they want it to be, like
because they thought it was too
super
good.
Underpowered, maybe.
I mean, it's only
like
D4.
Why is Tavern Brawler in the game then? Like it's just literally worse than Tavern Brawler.
Oh, and everyone.
Tavern Brawler.
Everything is worse.
Tavern
than
Brawler
Tavern Brawler
adds it added. Like it doubles the amount of damage. It should be halved according to the description, right? But it's just not. Something to mention is if you're using Karlach and you're giving her the Infernal Coins, I did it. I never did it until my last playthrough. The Infernal Coin adds an additional D4 of damage on top of what it's already normally supposed to do. And then it's supposed to be conditional, but it's just flat global plus 2d4 of fire damage on every attack, no matter what, until it runs out, which happens like after every long rest. Yeah, and so that's just insane. I had her as my Tavern Brawler monk. Yeah. And so if with that,
I heard it as a thrower that also went monk for for my bonus actions. I could just flurry of blows people.
Yeah, I'm not sure if
I had her giant barbarian
work on that,
thief rogue open hand monk.
Nasty.
So I just hit level 12. Yeah, really good. If she went berserker, she would have been slightly better because their throws are better. But I wanted to use the new subclasses, and giant barbarian is nice also because they give the weapon you're about to throw, they give it the return property, which is liberating. It just you could use whatever weapon you want.
Yeah, it felt like that one was a little resource intensive, or I always wanted to rest because I was burning through my rages all the time in order so I could get a weapon with the thrown property. But that's only if you don't already have one that is good and universally thrown.
Yeah, I have another one on her at all times in case it doesn't return. I have the returning pike still from Act 1, I think. Just on her in case she needs to throw some shit where the thrown weapon doesn't come back. Because sometimes also I forget to, because you have to rage first and then apply the thing to it. And sometimes I forget to do that. So
are you not using the trident on her?
I have not done the carnival thing yet.
Oh, you haven't yet?
For some reason. Even though I should have done that first. I just remember it being
right at the entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah, that's on my very next list because I've already done a bunch of other stuff. Yeah. I did the prison underground thing already, which that was a pain in the butt this time. It was going to be very easy, but I used that same, I assume the same movement increase mod that you had, which was really nice, and I was able to traverse the world so much quicker, and then there's everything. I also had rather than mouse clicking every time, I had the WASD controls. I don't know if you ever used that, but that was so much better to just because if I click too many times with I'm already clicking enough by navigating the menus and choosing the things to have the movement be based entirely off of that is just a little bit too much mouse clicking for me. But anyways, I would use the movement speed up mod, and I don't know if you ever encountered this, but I would have issues when it came to the collisions on going up or going down.
I don't think so.
For me, characters would just clip through the ground. I would be walking around completely fine, completely normal, and my companions would just fall off a cliff that wasn't there and just fucking die.
That's annoying.
Or they would get stuck. They would get stuck in a staircase. They would just because they're trying to get to me, but I don't know, their horizontal movement speed is so fast that he just goes through the ramps or whatever that's there. It was really annoying. So I had to get another mod to. Oh, I just make all of my companions teleport to me, which is good anyways, even if I was not having that issue, because I remember my first time playing, they would get stuck in like random things where I would start combat and I'm like, oh, where the fuck is Astarion? And he's like in a completely other area, so I have to walk him over. Versus before that, I could foresee, person is far away, and rather than walking them all the way back, I could just press a button and get them all in that area together, which is nice. But yeah, I would just have like my companions clip through the ground and fucking die sometimes. It was really annoying. So I had to turn it down from 3 to 2 in terms of like multiplicative speed increase, which when I did it, it was so sad because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so much slower. Like, I could not believe how much slow 2 times speed movement was compared to 3.
And that's how everyone's playing the game.
And I was,
the pacing
they're playing it even slower on 1. Like, I was in my head, I'm like, people are moving around half as slow as me right now. And I'm already feel like I'm sluggish from going from 3 to 2. So that was a thing. Because the main thing that made me do that switch was the underwater prison place where I was rescuing the prisoners and they would clip through the ground. And so I don't think they got rescued. Really, it should not have mattered to me because I didn't even fucking rescue all of them anyway somehow. And just by that point, I was like, I don't fucking care.
What's a few more bodies?
I got Duke Ravengard. I got the alien. Got the alien dude. I got most of them. And I looked at the quest rewards. They don't even give a shit if you get all of them or not. I don't think it maybe changes a dialogue or two for save the Gondians.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it even matters. So, but I cared about it at the time when I was actually doing it. So I kept loading my saves and being like, oh, now this person's stuck and I gotta go back. And it's like, I redid some of those turns so many times. Because also when I would do things differently, then, the enemies spawned and this person did not move before the enemies spawned. But last time they moved before the enemies spawned because like they would get cornered if they did not move first. It was just annoying. It was so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think I'm doing that section again, honestly.
It's definitely...
I could skip
the way
that
I normally go through it is...
Yeah, it's very easy to do. You just stack movements. You get your followers summons to unlock stuff.
I usually just set up a cloud of haste using some form like either the mushrooms or whatever. In order to, like, right at the bottom of the ladder. Because that usually lets everyone get out, get hasted, move, sometimes grab someone or whatever.
Well, you also use full, like, no party limit, right? So
true, yeah.
I'm sure that helps rescue people quicker.
Yeah, because there's just, like,
but there's also probably more enemies
change
and they're tougher.
That's the biggest change. Yeah, so there was more enemies and they were stronger, but, like, when it just comes down to like a time limit, you have to get everyone. It makes it way easier. Yeah. Just because you have way more.
Yeah, so many more resources. Because I do really like it. Honestly, it's just that the movement speed clipping ruined it for me. That's it though.
Unfortunately,
I do honestly like it a lot because it's really the only time where there's that time sensitive thing going on.
Right.
And again, it's. For a lot of the encounters, especially as you progress further and further, they get more unique from each other. And they're like utilizing more unique stuff. Like in the last fight,
your interactions.
I was doing the bank in like the basement where all the people turn invisible. So you could either like do the sea invisibility or you could do what I just did, which was just throw down AoE things and that would show them.
Just find them eventually, yeah.
Because they wouldn't really move far from where they disappeared from.
No.
For like the ballists people. Because I do really like that submarine part. It's like a little bit, it's like a little bit stressful, but it's fairly doable, I would say. I remember it giving me more trouble my first time.
I remember the Black Watcher, the Gondians basement, like the basement was harder for me when I first wanted to deal with them.
Steel Watch.
Yeah, and
because that area is difficult.
Because when you're actually going up against a Steel Watch, like they're pretty hard units.
They're tough.
Like their resistance they're resistant to basically everything, including psychic. So it's just like there's
Really?
not a ton of ways to deal with them, and
Yeah, you have to
they
sort of
also
like
do a
shut them
lot of
down
damage.
in some way.
Yeah, yep. And then it's often like they're just going after the weak ones, which are like the Gandhians. And so like if you're trying to save all of them, then
Yeah,
and
I
you
remember
better
doing
have
a
some
lot
way
of
of
save reloading it on
taunting
my first time. Because
yeah,
that's the thing. Like, I already did all that on my first playthrough, so I care
yeah,
slightly less right now, which I'm glad.
yeah. It's how you should do it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and then, oh yeah, Great Weapon Master is a cool feat, and it lets you, when you either kill somebody or you score a critical hit, you get to use an attack as a bonus action.
Yep.
Except you that if you have supplemental damage from another source, it will not count that as, like, if you kill somebody, but the exact damage that kills them is from some other source outside of directly the damage you deal, it will not count towards that.
Oh,
So I would have like a paladin use their smite,
that
and
must be why.
the smite would finish them off, but they would
Okay.
not get that bonus attack. Is kind of annoying.
Because I feel like it was more consistent to get brutal critical. It was more consistent to get like a brutal critical, where for a great weapon master, you can also get that bonus attack if you get it on a crit.
Right.
And so that's usually when I found myself, I was like, oh, I haven't been getting the great weapon master bonus attack in a while. I was like, oh,
Oh
damn,
man.
probably since my last crit. And damn, I didn't realize that was a thing. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's annoying and it's silly and it's just count it. It's
It's
I understand
finicky.
maybe from
Hmm.
a programming perspective,
Yeah,
it
it's
just
probably a
counts it as a different
complication there.
source of damage, so it's not gonna
Hmm.
consider that for Great Weapon Master, but it should. It would be way more fun and cool if the game did that, because
Yeah.
in this way you have to like you have to manipulate or plan out your turns in a slightly different way, where you make sure that the kill happens on whatever attack without the smite, so that
Hmm.
then you get the bonus attack. Like, it's weird, and it's just annoying. Um,
Yeah.
and then there was damn it, there was one more thing. Oh, for saving throws from the Illithid powers and items and a couple of other things, they would use the spellcasting modifier of your most recently uh, multi-classed class. So the most recent class that
Instead
you took a
of
first level
okay.
in is what they would use to determine your spell save DC for items and Illithid powers and various like general effects.
Is that how it works? Okay.
Yeah, and that's annoying because sometimes I
Yeah.
would start off in the class that has like their main attribute
Especially
modifier
for a
thing.
jack of all trades.
Well,
Yeah.
for that, but like even for other characters, like I would start
Hmm.
off with one thing. They would have one main spell casting
Hmm.
modifier thing attributed to them, and then I would dip in another class to pick up some other ability that they're not really good at that modifier, but they would just have stuff in that class that I wanted for the character. But all of the items and the Illithid powers would use that instead for calculating whether stuff succeeds or not, which is annoying. I feel like it should just use the preferred, whichever one's highest, or even
Hmm.
which one you start with would be even better. But I didn't make this game, um, and neither did some other people who fixed a lot of these issues that I talked about. Because that's the other thing.
Mm.
Even though a lot of these bugs are bugs, the movement one I don't think I could fix because that's just I don't know.
Yeah.
But
You're already breaking it.
from the item descriptions being inaccurate, from the probably Great Weapon Master not allowing you the bonus stuff, from the Polearm Master not applying bonus damage, and the items and Illithid powers using the wrong modifier for stuff, all of that can be resolved through people on the internet working on it and uploading their solutions, and you download their stuff and you apply it to the game. And so far, what I've used, it has worked. And that is nice when you have these issues that exist within a game, and then they get solved in some way, either through an update from the developers directly, which they did a decent amount. But there was still a lot of things left unfixed, and people picked it up and they did it. And without the mods, it's a flawed game. With them, you're able to fix those flaws. And so this is really the first game that I've played that I've modded in like any way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I may have tried to, or I like thought about it with Stardew Valley. I'm like, oh, I could see people on the map. That sounds awesome. Rather than I look up on the wiki, oh, what time of day are they in this
like,
location on this season
like,
and this day of the week at this time
Citizen
of day.
30 of 40, yeah.
Bro, you can't remember every single citizen of Pelican Town. Fake fan.
And
you don't have their entire memory
schedules on every day and holiday, and
you don't have their entire memory schedulized, is what I was about to say. So, like, that's just awesome. Because not only do they fix a bunch of stuff, but they also add, oh, here's a bunch of 5e content, which I've even seen some 2024 versions of stuff, which is interesting. Which I probably won't use those. I think I'm just going to stick to the 5e stuff for expansion stuff, which I plan on my third playthrough. I'm gonna do maybe at the very least the spells, though I think I have most of the build composition lined up for my For Honor mode. Why did I say For Honor? That's a video game. My honor mode playthrough.
For your honor mode.
I'm doing it for honor by killing everybody.
On honor mode, yeah, where you have one single save.
Oh yeah, but except I'm not gonna do that. I'm definitely gonna. I think there's a mod that lets you have multiple saves on For Honor or something. So I'm gonna do that because I like saving.
Yeah, hey, hell yeah.
Because that sounds more fun to me than the stress of. Dude, fucking imagine you get all the way to the end and you fucking lose.
You roll.
I would
poorly.
kill myself.
It's like, yeah.
So yeah,
I think with like an honor run, you just have to be ready to not do everything. Like you have to just play quicker because it's easier for you
by
to
that
die,
point
and the consequences are
literally
worse.
skipping a lot of the story by killing people.
Yeah. And like you could probably
it's still
do
gonna be a long time,
pretty easily with just like stealth and like keeping it. There's definitely ways to break
almost so many encounters. You could take the stealth approach and get the surprise round and wipe out half, if not all, the dudes in round one, which I wasn't really doing this time around. But for the couple of times I did put the surprise on groups of enemies, I was definitely like, oh my god, you could just.
Also, stealth is just actually broken. Like, if you can get a high enough stealth modifier and then have advantage on your stealth checks, which you can get through like a ring or something, then enemies will like not find you if you have like greater invisibility or whatever. Right. Because that's another way to get advantage on your stealth rolls. And you could just endlessly take shots at people as like a gloom stalker or like an assassin, and you're just like hitting crits.
Yeah, and there's also weapons that deal additional damage on crits.
Yeah, but you won't even enter combat. Like you can do this all just like real time, because like if you cannot be found while you're invisible, like you can continuously attack, and they'll like look at, and you'll have to.
They'll be like, "What was that?"
You have to succeed consistently higher DC checks, but you're doing it with advantage, and you're doing it with like what
proficiency.
Plus, you can do like with plus 18 to your stealth, like plus even higher.
Pass with that trace.
Pass exactly. Another 10 on top of that. Your DC is like 50, like even higher. And so it's just like you could do pretty well for yourself.
Wow.
And like
you get
if you're able to play
the greater
that well,
invisibility to get two people doing it.
Yep. Yeah. Although like because you're not in
combat, right?
You're just like sticking with one person.
If you're doing it multiplayer,
it's just how fast can you shoot? Like it turns into like a real time like shooter. It's weird, like an action RTS.
You did that on your most recent one, or
I try. It's kind of hard because I had too many people in my party. Like it's easier if you just play solo, or if you have some way of like getting a person.
You just have like one party member who you want to group from.
Yeah, exactly. So, because they will start searching everywhere. You can also like with stealth, like you can send certain party members in to like toggle like or get aggro and then send a rogue like behind the back and just like shoot. Also, like,
Because I wonder how it. I was gonna say I wonder how it works, and because some characters will get locked in like conversation, and so
right.
then your other party members are free to. Because that NPC is distracted
They can just do
talking to the
whatever
one
they
dude
want.
indefinitely, and then
Yep. And there's definitely ways to kind of game the
Jesus.
system,
That seems interesting.
but that's definitely the appeal.
Yeah, because that's the cool part of the game, where you could really tackle it in like every encounter in so many ways. It's awesome, and I like not only team building and like composition, but also like just builds in general and like thinking about them and then applying them and all of the stuff that goes with that. Because I mean, for as many hours as I've put into this, I've also done not like an equal, but like a somewhat wide fraction. I've also just been reading the wiki and in the future, like, oh, maybe I can do this thing, maybe I can do that thing, and like just thinking about the game. And it's fun because it is that fifth edition system, but they're also doing a decent amount of things uniquely, which most of their changes overall I like. I don't know if there's any I dislike. If there are, they're not really coming off the top of my head. So I just love games like that, and the gameplay mechanics really get in my head, and when I log out of the game, I'm thinking about it. And when I'm not playing Baldur's Gate 3, it's playing in my head or something. I don't know. And so I love this game. Again, it's a goddamn miracle, and it's awesome. And if you like D&D, you will like it a lot. You said it was player friendly. I don't even know if I agree with that. I feel like if I started playing this game without any D&D knowledge, I would be completely lost. Honestly,
Like,
there's sort of a lot going
it's
on.
hard. It's hard to separate like our knowledge of the game,
Right?
Like and the existing systems, from playing it. But I think it's accessible enough to people who know games.
Yeah,
Like,
it's definitely more accessible.
The language
than
is there,
D&D, I would say.
and there's so much depth to the systems that there's definitely stuff that I think probably the majority of players haven't touched.
Yeah.
And just like certain systems or game mechanics that.
Like nobody knows
By
about
far,
the
like,
fucking rings.
80% of people
using
won't.
using the
Yeah.
wrong ability modifier. Nobody cares. 'Cause
Like,
they're just
there's no
playing
way.
the game and having fun.
I would assume that people don't even get like why Tavern Brawler is that good. Like the majority of people just they don't
Fair,
even know that.
fair,
They're
fair,
playing
yeah.
it to meet the characters.
Yeah, they're not watching the same
fuck the
YouTube
vampire.
videos that we are.
It's
Of like, what? How do you
it's the
meet
narrative
names, fucking
aspect.
everything.
Yeah, they want to save the princess and fuck the vampire. It's just
Who's the princess
how
in
it
this
goes.
situation? The Act 2 priest.
Princess of Darkness.
She already has a girlfriend though.
Yeah, I guess. Spoken for.
Exactly. But that's again, that's the beauty of the game. It has such a wideness in what it accomplishes, and so many. Every single pillar of it is really good, from the story, characters, world building, actual gameplay of things, and the progression system. It all comes together in such just a masterful way. One other thing to talk about, I think some people fall off with the game a little bit near the end because they get to Act 3, and I think they're just overwhelmed with the amount of things to do. But I actually really like that because the whole game is building up to the fucking, the city of Baldur's Gate. And when you get there, it's huge.
I mean, you're on the outskirts when you
Yeah,
first
I know.
get there.
You're not
just
even
on
like
Worms
in
Crossing.
it. You're just in the
And
lower
it's
city.
like,
pretty
oh,
much
this is
whole
the
time.
city, and then you're like, oh no, it's
And
not the city.
it's so packed with content though. Like the other areas are bigger in terms of like you moving around them, but I mean, it feels like a city. There's a lot of
density
people.
of things.
And yeah, there's so much like. There's legitimately so many things, and like every building has something going on with it, and there's a lot of underground shenanigans happening, and so I understand it feeling overwhelming, and the maybe a burnout happening at some point around that time, but which maybe I did feel a little bit on my first playthrough, because I did have the goal in mind of not doing everything, but doing everything I would come across. And I definitely remember leaving some side quests not like unresolved. I did like all the main companion ones and stuff like that, and a lot of the other smaller side ones. But I definitely remember leaving some of those away. Uh, but I'm doing like I just like discovered a whole new thing that I don't think I did the first time, where it's like this. There's this mummy lord uh, dude, and he has like this. He's trying to get his followers back, but you could help the followers kill him. Yeah. How do you fucking remember these names? I guess you just played it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember him because he's a pretty powerful unit and he has a bunch of good stuff, like
Yeah.
really good stuff. So,
Yeah, and I had not. I don't think I did that on my first playthrough, because that's the thing. It's
he's a
a
fun
very
one.
replayable game, because all of the narrative choices you can make, all of the side content that's there that you could have missed, or you could do that play out differently, and all the build potential of things that you've done. In addition to, oh, they've patched the game over time. I played it at launch, and now there's these new features that they added, and I could use some of those. So it's been really nice to revisit it, and I have another maybe week or so of stuff to play with it that I am excited to get back to. Um, so yeah, I love this game.
Hell yeah.
It's so awesome.
If you can't tell from the what like 4 episodes we talked about it so far or something like that,
I think
we play it
these
a
Drew
lot.
and Peter
It's just
guys really
the
like this
fucking,
game.
it's the fucking goat. But all right, back to what I was playing.
Oh my god, this is a podcast where we talk about monthly
Other
things we did, and
games.
not
Yeah,
a Baldur's Gate 3
exactly.
podcast where that's the episode.
Yeah, I guess that's the next thing. That's the next piece of content we're making.
Oh my
It's just
god,
the
we already
Baldur's
talked
Gate
about
show.
Oh, but we
Yeah.
have the spoiler video.
But back to what I was playing. Hotline Miami.
Oh.
Game that has been on my radar for a long time. It came out 2012, so quite a while ago now. I played both 1 and 2, and they're fun. They're really interesting. It's not quite what I expected. It's that top-down shooter. It's kind of arcadey, but they're honestly more puzzle-based games. And the first one I liked more. The reasons why are a little nuanced. The first one is definitely more straightforward. Like, you end up getting a better feel for the system and the gameplay, the movement and the combat, and how you're tracking room from room and avoiding enemies. But in 2, the level design changed and the levels became more open and less segmented in rooms, and so you had to worry about cover way more. 2 is a much harder game, and 1 is fairly difficult, but it's the difficulty is matched with the length of the levels, where you're not having to reset every time you die from too far. The problem with 2 is like the levels got bigger, and then also the length of them got longer. So there were like more enemies and more things that you had to deal with, which made inevitably you would lose and you die and you reset the level, and it would just make it more grating.
Right.
Especially there were certain chapters of the game in 2 where you had to play like it was like a part of a prequel to the first game, and those levels were just so bad. You're in Hawaii on a mission, and there are so many open areas where the enemies can shoot you from off screen from like a mile away, and the enemies are way faster than you. Everything kills you in 1 shot, and you kill in 1 shot, but it's just the fact that there are way more enemies and they can see you from further than you can. They have more weapons and ammo and everything. Really annoying. But the thing is, the actual, like, when you're cooking and when you get a sense for a level, that's when things are really fun. And I think that's why the first one is better, just because it's packaged more for that experience. The stories are interesting because the first one is kind of in that like meta narrative, and analyzing how the player is kind of engaging with the violence that's on screen.
Oh, okay.
Because the game is super violent.
Mm-hmm.
The art style is obviously like pixelated and very retro
Right.
aesthetic. This game honestly kind of helped, I feel like, repopularize that Outrun aesthetic, that 80s kind of retro synth style, and kind of popularized it for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's definitely inspired by a lot of other things, like definitely Drive, big inspiration.
Oh,
Shout out Ryan Gosling and all that.
Ryan Gosling is that movie. He's the only
Yeah,
person who decided anything.
who no one even knows the director or whatever. He's got a
Or
few
whoever
other
the girl
weird
was, I
ones.
bet Ryan Gosling played her also. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Ron Perlman, Ryan Gosling played him also.
The stories are interesting because it's like it's kind of looking at how you're super violent or whatever, and you're playing this top-down
Sure.
arcadey kind of style, just like beating people up, and like the
Is the game
art's
like,
like
oh, you're so fucked up for enjoying this? Is that what
kind
sort of
of
is?
it's more interesting because the framing of it is that you're being called on a telephone for whatever reason, and they're giving you these weird instructions like, oh, hey, pick up the dry cleaning, or oh, are you DJing tonight? We needed someone to pick up a shift, or like, oh, hospital called, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then each time you go out on these missions, it's all very linear. You're not really branching off or making any decisions. You'll go on these missions to just kill everybody in a building or whatever, usually Russians. And there's like a Russian mafia that's going on. It's an interesting world because it's not, it's the US, but it's not. It's like a weird alternate universe. It's kind of dystopian and it's trippy, really weird. I think the problem I had with the second story is it's because it's following the same world, I guess, but it's told in a way more disjointed fashion. There's like four different stories that are each told in out of uh, chronological order
Mm-hmm.
and out of like order from themselves. So you'll pick up with one character in the past, and then you'll jump to the next character who is in the present, and then you'll go to the next one who is before that second player, and then you'll go to the next character, and then that one will be in the future, and it's all without really any context, and it just made it harder to follow,
Mm-hmm.
which was a problem when the gameplay was also just, like I said, more difficult, more grating, and less rewarding.
Is it like the Dark Souls 2
It
of
is the
the
Dark Souls
series?
too, and
Mm-hmm.
there's like narrative reasons why it's trying to explore things differently than the first one. And it's like trying to be meta with the audience and the audience reception to the first one, and how a sequel can never be like as good as the original, or it's like what are the problems with having expectations for a sequel, and it's like all those meta things built into the narrative of the second one. And it's like it's cool, it's complicated, and I can appreciate the artistry, but I don't think it really gelled into a cohesive or like enjoyable final project. I still enjoyed it overall, but not as much as the first one. And I think if you're looking for that experience, because these are pretty short games, I would definitely play the first one at least. It's
Okay.
very fun, and it's got that sense of trying to like beat it for speed and like speed running, and getting really good at mastering a level, and figuring out where all of the different enemies are and their placements in the room, and how to clear it as fast and efficiently and as violently as possible, because you get a higher score for doing stuff in particularly effective ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's definitely a good balance of high pace, kind of puzzle solving shooting, with the length of the project, which is only like 8 hours or so. So it's pretty digestible.
Yeah. The title of these games, I've heard them, or at least the first one, talked about
Yeah.
all the time. I don't think I've ever actually known what type of game it was though.
Yeah. You don't really see games like this at all, or like not really get the mainstream popularity that this one did,
Yeah,
which mainstream is all relative, but this is
sure.
a for what is like an indie game created by two people, I think,
Oh, damn.
to pop off to such an extent and
Yeah,
create such a lasting impact. It's definitely a testament to the quality of the game. They had something really unique and engaging and told it in such a way that it got people engaged and like it made people kind of uh, look a little deeper at like what they were playing, which is a cool thing.
yeah, nice. I think I will check out the first one at some point. I don't know, but I don't know about two.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to
Oh, I
Dark
guess
Souls 2 myself.
I can mention the other game that I just played, which is somewhat similar. Super Hot. Have you ever
Oh,
played that one?
yeah, I
Um,
played it on the VR
yeah,
for a brief
yeah.
time, and I was quite
I've heard the
shitty at
VR
it.
one was cool, but the actual one that I played on the PC, the original version, is also a lot of fun. It's just that it's a really good concept for a game. Just like the system is super simple. It's just time is stopped until you move, but that just lets you plan out what you're gonna do and deal with all of the it's all about it's more puzzle based gameplay than action based, similar to Hotline Miami. Honestly,
Hmm.
that's why I would compare the two. They have a similar flow to a game where it's like, one shot, one kill for basically everything, right? Including you, and
Right.
so you're constantly resetting and just getting a sense for a level and for the flow of it, and trying to just get better and better. And it is a really satisfying loop for both of them. Both are pretty short projects. Both of them do kind of similar meta stuff, like where it's like, oh, the game is more than a game or stuff like that.
Oh, really?
It's at least in Super Hot. And I think both were fun experiences. If you're looking for like a more, I don't know, it's like slightly more stimulating shooters, or like it's just like puzzle based but with some action to it. um they're pretty fun.
Yeah, cool. I will check out probably the first one at some point for this.
Yeah.
Um, I have one more though. There was Kirby Air Riders released
Mm.
recently, and this is the sequel to a game called Kirby Air Ride on the GameCube. And as far as video game sequels for Nintendo video games, um, the sequel to Kirby Air Ride was one of the most, not one of the most desired or anticipated, but it was
Mm-hmm.
a continuously in some places on the internet talked about thing. And so the hype was there, and the hype was here. Um, and this is a really cool game. It basically takes the Kirby Air Ride and it improves it in every single way. The ship customization feature, I just have to say right off the bat, is really really cool. You can basically just um, take any ship, which I mean, really, this is a kart racer, if you want to call it that, I guess. And you ride on these little ships, and you could customize them fairly completely. You can't like draw directly on them, but they give you enough shapes where you could sort of create like very specific things. So, and then on the there's like a store that you could take other people's designs for them and like buy them and use them on your own,
Mm.
like as your own. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool seeing what people have made, even with the game only being out for so long. Just right off the bat, I that's my favorite thing about it, which may make it sound bad for the rest of it, but I still really enjoyed everything else. It's just I think that is a cool feature that they had. Um, but yeah, other than that aspect, again, they're taking that initial game and just improving it in every single way. It's more tracks, more characters, and the characters are more unique from one another, while also trying not to imbalance them necessarily. Because I want to say in the original Kirby was the best because he could use any enemy on field. There's like, okay, so you're racing and you're racing against other people. If you're doing it locally, that's other players or it's against CPUs. This one, there's online modes and stuff, which is nice, which I have not dealt with. But I'm sure they're fine because I think Nintendo has gotten better with their online stuff for a long time. They were very bad through like the Wii and Wii U era, and they were just behind on that shit. But I think for some of the Switch stuff, they're better with that. Um, so I don't know if Kirby Air Riders is also better when it comes to that stuff. Maybe it is. Maybe it is not. Um, but anyways, you are riding on tracks and stuff, and there are enemies on the map that you could suck up and use their powers, just like in the mainline Kirby titles. Except in the original, that was exclusive to Kirby because in lore, it doesn't really make sense for other people to be able to do that. But Sakurai, the director, said, fuck my lore. Anybody could do that because it just is more fun from a gameplay perspective, and it's more interesting also, like because if you just had the other characters, they would only do their one gimmick and not have the universal uh thing, which is using enemies to gain their powers, and then when you hit either other players or other enemies, you get like a little bit of a speed boost. So the idea is that through track knowledge, you're able to know, oh, okay, this enemy with this power up is going to be here on this part of the map. I can use it here against either this other enemy that I know is going to be there, or another player that's going to be there. Because that's the other thing. You could have that track, I don't know, memorized, I guess. But because of the other players doing their own things, it's going to create some sort of randomness that you cannot predict. So it's a matter of adapting to that on the fly, again, still based on your track knowledge. Is how I would optimistically put it. I don't actually know if that's how it is. I'm not really good at this game. I played the original a lot as a kid, so the nostalgia factor for that one's pretty high. And so again, my hype for this one was quite big. And this game is really cool because there's like 3 main game modes in one solid package here, where you have just the typical air ride where you go through a course, just do whatever 3 laps or 1 big lap depending on the map size, and then you're done. And then you get to go do like a different one on a different course, and there's that mode, which is nice, just standard. Hey, go drive around, go do the course things like any other kart rider. And those are cool. Those are fun. Then there's this one called Top Ride where you're in like this top down look position, and the maps are much smaller, where you're zoomed out. You could sort of see the entire course at once, and the controls are very simple, and the races go very quick. But it's a very fun sort of like in between mode, where it's like, oh well, I don't want to do another race again, but I'll still want to sort of play the game in like a similar vein. So it's just a sort of a side mode to that. And then the last one is this one called City Trial, which is basically a battle royale. And the mode in the original was basically the main draw to it. Like the air ride was nice, the top ride was nice, sort of. Some people had more mixed feelings about that. But they were just standard, and like without City Trial, the game would be a lot less unique for the original. Because it's this battle royale, and it's basically you get put onto these like super shitty ships in like this hub area, and you have to go around trying to pick up upgrades and swap to other ships that you think might be slightly better. And it lasts for like 5 minutes, and you can knock other players off their ships by fighting them and stuff. It's a really interesting and fun game mode in the original and in this one. I have to say it's a lot of fun, and sometimes you'll be playing it for you could set like the time of it, so either 5 or up to probably an hour or something crazy. And sometimes I would just get a ship that's like so busted in speed I could like barely control it. I'm just like flying across the map so quickly. I'm like, I can't even get any more upgrades because my thing is too quick. I can't even control anything that's going on.
Similar problem to Baldur's Gate.
I'm too good.
Too
Because I'm not clipping through the ground at
He's
least.
clipping through every.
I'm not clipping through the ground. Okay.
Yeah,
This
not
game
yet.
That's why this game is better. Actually.
You gotta go faster.
Yeah. And so at the end of all of that, then you get put into in the original, it was completely random. You would be put into some sort of situation, even a race, a defeat enemies gauntlet or defeat the boss or some other random stuff. Like there's a one where you try to fly your ship into a target to score points and stuff like that. Essentially mini games. And you would get one of them randomly. And so sometimes you would, in the original, you would build a ship in a particular way where it's like, oh, I'm powerful as fuck, but I'm a little bit slow. But if we did the battle one, I would be really good. And then randomly, this randomly selected one is like a fucking glide thing where you have to fly up super high. And you're like, wait, my ship really sucks at that. And so I just spent the last 5 minutes doing a thing that was not useful for the mini game, which determines who wins the entire thing, if that makes sense. So it was sort of annoying because like the city trial part in the hub battle royale stuff, like that's fun, but then the mini game that determines the victor is chosen completely randomly and out of your control, and so you could just completely get something that's not at all what your setup is good for. And this new game is it makes it a lot better, specifically online, where you get to choose which thing you do. And so you're competing against others just in that specific lobby for some reason. So you'll be in like a lobby, from my understanding, with like 20 people or some shit. And you'll all do the shenanigans of going around the city, picking up upgrades and fighting each other somewhat. And then that'll end. And then you get to pick which like mini game you want to do. And I think you'll just do that. And other players might select the same mini game you want, but they might select someone else. And so then you're just competing with the ones who pick the same thing as you versus competing with everybody. So it's like sort of a weird system there where I still don't think it's perfect. I feel like they could do some sort of comparison between mini games. I actually don't know how that would work best. I mean, it's better, definitely. And then in the local multiplayer version of the newest one, you get 4 options, and each player selects which one they want, and then it randomly chooses, but it randomly alternates. Not randomly. It does like an alternation time countdown between what each player selects. So if multiple people select one thing, that increases, the chances of it selecting that thing. But then everybody plays that mini game. So I still result with that issue of, oh, I spent the past minutes making a machine that's really good at flying, and then I get like a fucking defeat the enemies thing that I'm gonna be bad at. So there's still that issue slightly. Like it's still fun. The other issue is I play with my brother who's really fucking good at this game, and he would play like a modded version of it online for the GameCube version of it.
Shit, okay.
And so he is just nuts, and he wins every fucking time almost. I feel like I won like maybe once or twice out of like the dozens of times.
Skill issue.
Bro, I cannot compete with the man who no-lifed this shit 20 years ago. So, but despite that, it's still a really cool, really fun game. A lot of the characters they added are weird and wacky inclusions, sort of similar in a vein to a lot of the Mario Kart World new roster in that one. And yeah, it's just nice. It's nice seeing a sequel to this. I don't think it exceeds the original by a huge amount. I think it's an improvement for sure. But it's not like, oh my god, this is the greatest video game of all time now suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe to some people, but I think it's definitely better than the original, but it's not. The trailers made it seem like it was going to be the coolest fucking thing ever, because the director Sakurai, he is the same director as the Smash Bros. Games. And so basically so many things now from Smash are borrowed from Kirby, and now he's in the Kirby games borrowing from the stuff he did in Smash. Like the on the 3DS version of Smash, there was some sort of game mode, I forget what it's called, but it was basically the Smash version of City Trial from Kirby. It was like the exact same setup for that. And then the menu system, his wife is the UI person who does like all of the menu designs for the
Oh
stuff
yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
for the past however many Smash titles, and she's also doing it for this one too. So it's like the exact same victory screens from Smash. It's just weird and sort of silly seeing that
The
those very similar
similarities
things
and
carried
yeah,
across like an entirely different series. It's because it's the same dude and he's able to get away
right.
with it somehow. Like I feel like Nintendo being Nintendo would be like, you can't do that, even though you made the last game that you did that in, or something. They would just
Yeah.
like be
I
evil, but I guess they're cool with it because he's a great director of video games and he's made a lot of great ones, and this is certainly one of those. So I enjoyed it. I don't know how much more I will play of it, but
hmm
it might be something fun to do every once in a while, and it's nice that
Yeah.
it exists and that there's a sequel to this game finally. So that's pretty cool,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it.
Glad Kirby fans got something.
A
Well,
But that is
all
my
right.
last video game here for this
All
day,
right, that takes us to
for
the
this month.
end of the video games. So I will get started catching everyone up on what's been happening in the music world. Um, First one coming from Rosalia, Lux. Really gorgeous album from her. Probably one of my favorite. I think it is my favorite from her. She's always doing something new, whether it's like classic flamenco stuff on her debut, and then like R&B stuff. This one is in more like of a classical lane. A lot of really interesting art pop, super grand orchestral, and like super theatrical, dramatic stuff. Uh, she sings in like I think it's like 13 languages on this thing, her like
Damn.
various different songs, and it's all herself. And then she has other features, and I think she got the London Symphony Orchestra or maybe the Philharmonic, something like that, to do the actual instrumentations for this thing. It's crazy. It sounds immense and insane, and I think it's her at her best. Really good album. Another one from an artist called Hatchie. She just dropped her third album, I think, Licorice, and it's really good dream pop stuff, more with like shoegaze element to it, more akin to some classical shoegaze or dream pop acts like Rush or a lot of Cocteau Twins influence on this project, but really good. Her stuff has been super consistent, although slightly changing in the kind of lanes of dream pop that she operates in. So glad to see her stuff, just still doing good stuff. New project from LEX, pop star who created this new project. Happiness is going to get you. This is a good project from her. If you're in the mood for more just like good songwriting and some pretty art slash alt pop stuff, I would point you that way. Some really catchy and memorable melodies on that project. Danny Brown, legend in the rap game, comes back with another album, Stardust. This one is a really fun one, more experimental and almost hyperpop adjacent. A lot of club elements and dance music elements on this one, along with a bunch of interesting collaborators from across the board. A lot of cool underground alternative acts there that are working with him, and he's still doing good stuff. A lot of high energy and introspective lyrics on this one. Another project to point you from a collaborative album from Callie Malone and Drew McDowell called Magnetism. This is a really cool drone project. And if you've never listened to drone, you should maybe give it a try. It's really not even something that I would recommend to put on for like casual listening, but it's really cool to just see what kind of sounds can be made and how people can transform drones essentially into melodic tunes or like songs in general.
Drones, as in
It's
like
like
actual like flying drones.
no, like just a synth drone, just
Okay,
like different computer drones. It's all like
I
stuff
just
that
don't
is
know.
like finely tuned sound recordings. Just really interesting stuff. And one that is just like cool to try and discern how they would possibly make it a sound like that. Um, Another album to point your way from Clark called Steep Stims. This one is kind of funner, more energetic. Um, I'd call it IDM techno stuff, electronic and pretty jittery and more uh, cool, kind of catchy productions. Um, Another album from Gene Dawson. He came back with a deluxe from his Glimmer of God called Rockabye Baby Glimmer of God, and it's just more songs giving us more of what we like from him. Art pop, moody stuff. Um, some of the songs I wasn't as big a fan of, but if you like any of Gene's stuff, I would definitely check out the deluxe album from One No Tricks Point Never called Tranquilizer. This thing is insane. It's so good. It's electronic stuff, ambient stuff. He essentially found like a crate of weird like VHS commercials or and he lost it, but he found it online and he took all these samples and he just like created an incredibly weird and alien and dreamy soundscape out of them. Each of the songs are so interesting and strange and beautiful. The production is just fantastic, and he is one of the greatest to do it in ambient work and various different vaporwave aesthetics. Really, really great album from him. Shorter project from G. Jones and Ephraim called Disc Utility. This is just a really fun EP. Acid techno, really crazy kind of ravey cuts, really high energy and wonky beats on this one. Really great production. It just sounds fantastic. And then another project to point you from Kelly Lee Owens called Kelly, also a shorter project, EP, dancier stuff, similar to Disc Utility in that sort of acid techno club-oriented beats. Good for like a short kind of 20-minute bump and listen. And then finally, another album from Navy Blue, who is doing really good stuff in like the abstract hip hop lane. This new album, The Sword and the Soaring, is really gorgeous, just like super introspective lyrics, really kind of slow and meditative and dreamy, and the production all just kind of helps reinforce that with sort of loopy and dreamy and drumless beats that are all really kind of serving to fit Navy Blue's vocals and his flow really, really well. Good project from him. And that takes us to the end of music for this past month.
Of your music section, which
Yeah.
I'll cover my music section in the YouTube section.
Okay. For books, you have anything that you've read?
Let me double check. No.
No. Well, I have a book club book that I'm getting through that I can talk about. It's called the Mindfuck series. It's a series of 5 short novels.
I don't know if everyone even looked that up.
Yeah, it's
The Mindfuck series?
St. Abbey. Yeah. That's the author's moniker. Stabby. It's an alias from an author who has a weird story. She's dead. She's had like multiple aliases that she's written under. There's weird complications around the death. It's a strange thing. But the series itself is interesting. It's like a dark romance. It's got the sort of Hannibal aspect to it, where the main character is a serial killer who kills men that have abused her. It's very kind of like violent and dark like that. And then her love interest is an FBI agent who is investigating the murders that she's doing. And it's pretty violent and like kind of gross at times, but it's engaging in that sort of brutal way. The I haven't watched the show, but I know Hannibal has that same element where you have your FBI kind of working with the serial killer in
Right.
order to solve crimes.
Hmm.
And there's always a lot of drama with that kind of angle. And it's working in the series well enough. Strange one. Would never have picked it up if not for book club, but
Hmm.
it's something.
It's something.
It's something. But we can move on to YouTube and I guess your music section.
That's on the second thing on my list, so we'll get to it when we get
Okay,
to it.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Um, First, I mean, I could do both of them because this first one is not a whole lot to talk about. I came across it because it was just in my YouTube front page thing,
Hmm.
and the video, it's a singular video, and it's titled Dungeons and Dragons, and it was uploaded in 2014 by Ashley Johnson, and it's just
Hmm.
them. It's just the Critical Role crew before they started recording them.
Oh,
I think
I've
it's
watched
just
it.
it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
them in their kitchen and just like random
yep,
highlights of their
yeah.
evening together.
Before the stream,
It's
yeah.
just
Before
nice.
the stream was set up, it was
Yeah,
just like their home game.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I think it was like a trailer to, oh, we're gonna be doing this as a show thing. I think.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. It was just nice. It was interesting.
It is cool.
They're a
To
lot
see the
younger.
like the origin. Oh yeah, it's been like damn near a decade. Over a decade.
Yeah, because it was
Impressive.
uploaded in 2014. But like, is
Hmm.
that when it started? Or is that after? Like, I don't know.
I think I have no idea honestly.
I don't know. Anyways, it's a cool video. I could do my music thing also though, which is if I can open the channel. So you may know about this person, but there's this person called Glorb, and I would just recommend their entire channel. Honestly,
Hmm.
they make music, and they also make music videos for the music that they make, and both of them are really awesome, Peter. Um, he makes parodies, specifically mostly SpongeBob themed, and so he will write these hip hop rap songs, and then he'll put it through some sort of AI filter for the characters and make them sing it. And I think he does the beats and like all the shit like that himself. He'll obviously write the songs and in terms of lyrics and also the, again, I think the beats and everything. And then I also think he animates the whole sequence of everything, and it's really impressive. And the the bars are both legitimately good and really funny. And he's like actually putting good consideration in like
Hmm. Hmm.
The SpongeBob lore. And he also over the course of his videos, he builds like stories that continue from like one to another. So like
Hmm.
a character dies in like one thing, and then in the next song, the character's like reflecting upon it or something. Um, it's really cool, and they're so funny. It's so good. And again, most of them are SpongeBob themed, though his most recent one was a Family Guy one, and that one was really good. I could have sworn I saw he did a Pokemon thing, but I'm looking at his channel right now and I'm not seeing that. So maybe I just made that up in my head. I don't know. Um, but anyways, it's just funny, and it's such a strong mix of hilarious and like, oh my god, I cannot believe that something on this quality exists, of combination of humor and I feel as though it's legitimately good. Mixing is whatever term, and also
Hmm.
like lyricism and stuff. There's a lot of good lines in this that are nice. So I would recommend this. The bottom two is his most popular, and I think that's his best probably. Um,
Hmm.
though I have a soft spot for which one is it? Not Dumbbell. Uh, Fucking the other Larry one. Oh,
Ghost in
Ghost
the
in the
Shell.
Shell. Yeah, that one's nice. And the bottom three or one of those.
I'll have to check him out. You got me curious now.
Bro. You
I don't
gotta
think
get
I've
the
ever
you
heard
gotta get
about
the
him.
lore
And
down.
he's 24 million on
Yeah.
the bottom two. Yeah,
He's
those
also
are
on
some. He's
Spotify.
doing numbers. He's doing numbers.
Yeah. Some of his earlier videos he doesn't have they're like not animated, so he just does some like random AI thing
Yeah.
image that like it like looks weird. But eventually at some point he starts doing the 3D models, and there's a strong improvement over time with
Hmm.
them also like in probably every single way from the lyrics, beats, visuals, but at the very least the visuals, it's very obvious that he gets better at all that, and just like the direction of it and the animations and stuff like that.
Incredible.
So yeah, this YouTube shit is pretty cool. I have one more, but you could go.
All right. I found this guy called Gox Art. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's got like 2.5 mil. But he just makes some interesting videos about like creativity and art. He's an artist, and kind of he documents his stuff, but he does it in such a style that is very kind of deliberate, and he's got a good eye for cinematography and like pacing and filming in general, which is why I would recommend it to y'all, because his like the videos are fairly short. They can maybe come off kind of pretentious, but I think just like the quality is there, and like the ideas that he's exploring about like creativity and like uh, why create art, or like obviously coming from an artist and like a content creator, it might seem kind of cringe, but
Sure.
I think in general it's pretty cool stuff. And his most recent kind of string of episodes are what I've watched, and the writing is pretty solid, and the whole the actual flow and like filmmaking side of the the video is a little higher quality than you might expect from a YouTube video. But yeah, cool stuff from him.
Yeah, nice. I'll probably check that out. I like creative people talking about creative
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
so that sounds nice.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
and then another thing I want to mention, which is that Baldur's Gate related one,
Mm-hmm.
is if I can pull it up. There's this YouTuber Hobo Zone, and he has a playlist with 277 videos for Baldur's Gate builds for Baldur's Gate 3. So
Holy
there's a lot of
shit.
them. I've seen maybe 20 or I've seen okay 22 and a half of them, or a little
Jesus.
bit more. Um, and so they're pretty cool. I have to say, for a lot of them, it's him coming up with a concept, sort of like D4, um, more so like D4 for the his D&D videos where he comes
Mm-hmm.
up with a concept and tries to make it good in gameplay. Meanwhile, D4 is Baldur's Gate 3 videos. I feel like he's trying more so to like make as broken of a thing as possible, more so,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
try to maybe justify it in lore a little bit. This guy feels like he's starting from the perspective of okay, I have this character concept, and he'll build those character concepts based upon other properties, like the Final Fantasy games, or I think even The Witcher and Hellboy. He has like
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that in here.
Mm-hmm.
And also like D&D lore in general. Like he has a build for what if Tasha, you could play as her, um, and just like stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Honestly, the stuff he could come up with. He is not necessarily the most optimal, nor is he necessarily the best at explaining like the level to level sequence of stuff like D4 is, where he's very specific about okay, at this level do this thing, okay, now go to this level, and now respec to have these levels instead, and then from there. This guy sort of just shows them off at level 12 when they're all done. He may at sometimes be like, maybe you should do this at this level instead if you're playing
Mm-hmm.
it not at a point where you're just level 12 immediately somehow. Um, so there's that, but that's not too much of an issue for me because I've watched so many D4 videos that I sort of already have the idea of in my head how things should play out. If this is
Mm-hmm.
the end goal and I'm taking these levels in these classes, and I know okay, well at this point in the game I should have it more this way versus by the final result the exact order of it's going to be slightly different for like an optimization perspective. Um, But what he does better than D4 is the items. He's more specific about the items in this game and like which ones will be specifically good for each build and which ones would not be as much. And then again, he's like slightly more unoptimal. Like I caught him doing something where he took like 5 levels in barbarian and then he took 5 levels in monk, and I'm like, wait a minute, you need to respec at some point. You don't want to duplicate those fight. Like he even mentioned it. Like we'll take in the addition. We're overlapping on effects for the extra attack at level 5, which D4 he taught me to never do that. It's completely worthless and just it doesn't make for an effective character basically.
Suboptimal.
And so he did that, and I caught him like, bro, you got to respec here when you hit level 5, whatever it was, monk or something. Then you go 6 monk, 4 barbarian, duh. But that's like not a huge goddamn deal at all in anything. But his stuff is still really cool to see. And even though I do not plan on using directly a lot of the builds that he's showing, he has informed me of the existence of certain magic items through his videos where he's doing this stuff. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting thing that I did not know existed. So now I'm like going in and reading like all that stuff. So it's cool to see just another brain, another mind sort of on the system and utilizing it in their own ways and coming up with ideas and executing on concepts and presenting it in a video. It's just nice.
Hell yeah.
Did you have another YouTube thing or no?
No, nothing else on my end.
Okay, the Baldur's Gate 3 podcast is over now. Join us next time for Baldur's Gate 3 content. See ya.